worry too much about this. I'm not going to expect.
Hello.
Hello, we
Okay.
found somebody.
Yes, we did,
Oh, hello.
Mhm.
Mr.
We have
Destin
found
Murphy.
Danston Murphy looking at our comments. Who is Danston Murphy? He's a commentator. We decided we were going to bring a fan on for this episode.
Yes.
Hello.
So welcome
Uh,
on. We talk about things, and we mostly listen to John talk for a long time, and then we talk over
you
John.
are the mathematician between the two of us. I'm the historian. I like the lore. You like the mechanics.
I do. I mean, I
Well,
like role playing as well, but I don't get to do
you
that.
played us the bard in D&D specifically for the numbers.
I can't hold all these dice. I'm sorry.
You admitted that charisma is the most broken stat in that game.
100%.
Ryan will be missing for this episode. Ryan has a long-standing commitment, so he will not be here, but we're here, and we are going to talk about the Croatan, and the Croatan only really have one book that is also tied in with a campaign setting book, and we have talked about the Croatan several times on this channel in passing.
Yes.
This is a name that keeps coming up again and again and again. And the question is, who the hell are these people?
Yeah. They are the middle brother of the three werewolf tribes of the Pure Lands, better known as the Americas. That would be the little brother, which is the Wendigo, the middle brother, which is the Croatan, and the older brother, which is the Uktena.
Usually the middle brother is the most sensitive one, right?
Yes.
They're the mediators, all right. The thing you learn about the Croatan is that they're all about mediation. They're all about down to earth in a literal sense. But the question is, what is their deal? Who are the Croatan as people? What do they do exactly within the Pure Lands? That's what we're here to talk about today.
Yes. So
we get a little storybook intro with the third page in Crotan Song, where it's given the whole detail about when the three brothers came to the Pure Lands, as we detailed in the Wendigo episode, that they were all part of the Wendigo, just unofficially, that crossed over the Pacific Ocean with the land bridge. Wendigo saw his favorite die, and then all the Fomori that were chasing them fell into the water, and then Wendigo reinvented himself. And then after realizing that Quebec and the northern parts of Alberta and the Yukon kind of suck, the tribe split in two. And then those who didn't want to live there moved south into what would today be the United States of America. And then the guys who thought this is a little bit too humid, it's 100 degrees outside and the humidity is 34% and rising. It's so muggy down here, I can't wear my fur coat down here. So they moved to where it's really dry, Mexico, then found a bunch of Fomori, and they chased them all the way down to the tip of Argentina. The guys who stayed in the United States would become the Croatan, and the ones who would go all the way to the south would be the Uktena.
yeah, pretty simple. It was a long and perilous journey across the land bridge that the book documents about, and I did a little bit of reading on that. One thing I would like to note about that, and I don't know if I'm bringing him up too early, but that one brave stargazer is mentioned in the book. Crescent
They
Vision.
mention-
I saw that actually. I saw the
They
symbol
mentioned-
right in the book.
Yeah,
God
exactly.
bless him.
What we know about the Croatan is being relayed to us by a stargazer through this entire book.
Yeah, that is one interesting note there, because he
We-
did sing Crescent Vision's praises a lot, and honestly, given how much I love underdogs, I am 100% on board with that. Crescent Vision's a based character.
Talked about just how stupid the stargazers can get, given the Amangaman, the Ouroborans. These are ideas that originated in the stargazers, but the stargazers learned about the nature of the Tradic worm, found out about the Balance worm, found out that the Weaver might be an enemy too. A lot of these Enigma accomplishments came from the stargazers. I mean, the werewolves would just be fighting the worm all day, every day, not thinking about anything if it wasn't for the accomplishments of the stargazers.
Yes, so they were indeed very important, and it's a damn shame
the-
that they've left the Garrow.
And the gist you can get from the whole storybook segment is it kind of personifies all three of the tribes, where You have big brother Uctena, even though it's technically the youngest, don't think about it. Little brother Wendigo, and then older middle brother Crotan. And they're all looking around saying, who is going to protect this land? Who is going to nurture this land? Referring to United States of America, what would eventually be the East Coast. And the Crotons step up to the plate and say, I'll be the ones to defend it. Older brother is more interested in fighting. Younger brother is more interested in research. I'm going to do my own thing, where I'm just going to stay here in this land and mediate and meditate. And that is what I'm going to base my identity off of.
So wait, I thought younger brother was Wendigo. I thought they were all about fighting.
Yeah, our younger brother's Wendigo.
I end up getting the two terms mixed around. You see why I don't call them that. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I got the
They
older
did
and
that
younger
to
mixed up.
themselves.
So, yeah, it should be Wendigo should be older. Yuktena should be younger. It just makes sense. That's the chronology of how you guys became tribes.
No, let's do it backwards. It's like Greenland and Iceland at this point.
You also get a perspective as to how much the Crotan loved Gaia. I mean, sure, every werewolf does. I mean, this is Gaia's chosen people. But the Crotan specifically talk to Gaia. They will have meditation sessions where they will talk to Gaia through her Gaia spirit liaisons. And they know that Gaia is progressively losing and losing and losing pieces of themselves. And they mourn the loss and decide that they're going to do everything they can to preserve what still exists of Gaia at the cost of their lives, which they will eventually do. If you were to look at the three, the Uctena is a wizard or like a mad scientist who's constantly in a lab or their tower fiddling with new ideas and new treasure that they've discovered, trying to figure out how they can adapt it in their own shamanistic science to improve their lives as a tribe. The Wendigo are soldiers who are patrolling the borders of their frozen castles, made entirely out of ice, that are looking for invaders just so they can have the joy of fighting them. The Croatan are gardeners, where they look at the land, they look at the forest, the mesas, the desert, the ponds, and they will defend those and preserve those. If a group of animals is starting to overpopulate, the Croatan will hunt them to a sustainable level. If the water has gone filthy, the Croatan will clean it. If the air is becoming polluted, they're going to figure out where that's coming from. If there are too many trees being chopped down, they'll build another forest. This is what the Croatan do. They are preservers as their identity.
It's like we could use a bit more of that nowadays.
And
Yeah,
you see...
Good.
Yeah, you're saying?
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, like, I noticed that there's a lot of, there's a big theme of Croatan being of the earth. Like, there's a lot of elements, like in the book that I noticed, like Croatan being of earth, Uctena being of water, and I guess Wendigo being of ice. But I would say it would be more like wind, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
But
the frigid Arctic.
yeah, but being of Croatan seemed like they are builders. They work with their hands, not for destruction like the Wendigo, and they don't work for like they're not seekers of knowledge like the Uctena. Rather, they stand, they build the plant, they build the plantation of the foundation that they want to build upon and preserve it.
Yes.
And you see that in a literal sense with some of their gifts, where Kyle, I believe there's one that's around level 4 where they coat their bodies in like earth armor.
Let me take that. I kind of got late on my notes because I had to go to band practice. But
it's somewhere in there. I know there's a gift that does that.
Yeah, I'll open up the gifts page. Let's see.
It's because I shared a few mechanics between Croatan gifts with the Uctena and Stargazers, and the Summon Vion for the 3.5 project. But going into the other part of history, why is their totem turtle? Why is it turtle in particular?
Well, I know already that was one of the totems that Gaia had sent them in order to aid them on their journey, but I don't know much past that.
My theory has something to do with being slow and steady, much like the Crotan's nature of actually not really being, not really doing things right away, but rather just doing things slow and steady. Because when you're making, like, say, it's building a house, you're not going to just like
Mm-hmm.
throw a pile of rocks on top of each other. You got to measure things
Mm-hmm.
out. You got to do things slowly at a time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're actually tending a garden, you have to be careful when you preserve what you're doing. You have to have the slow, steady pace of let's say a turtle to actually do that. I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I guess could be one theory.
Yeah.
It also ties into the myth of the world on the turtle's back. The Iroquois legend. Have you heard of this before?
I do remember
Um,
you talked about it a bit in previous podcasts.
didn't
So,
Stephen King have a lore similar to that?
you wrote a lot of books. I'm pretty sure there is a turtle book in the
Okay.
Stephen King library somewhere.
Yes, what if
And
turtle's
that
scary?
in the brain library of Stephen King. um, the world on the turtle's back is the Iroquois creation myth, where they believe that all the people lived in the sky for years and years until a pregnant woman who has a lot of interesting correlations with Eve, but I digress, falls out of the sky and into the water, and all the animals look around and say, "Oh, this woman's going to drown if we don't have some land for her." And the only animal that can float that has land with it already is the turtle. So they put her on the turtle's back and then realize, well, she came from the sky, and we can't build a staircase to the sky. We gotta figure out how to, give space for this woman to live. And Turtle, just being the most chill guy in the world, says, "Go ahead, build a planet on my back." And sure enough, that's what they do. They start going underwater, grabbing the land beneath the water, slap it on top of the turtle's back, and then build the entirety of North America off of that.
So Crush from Finding Nemo basically helps start the world.
I was also thinking of like
Yeah.
Turtle Atlas in a way.
Yeah, he's like the Atlas, except he actually volunteered instead of being punished to hold the world upon his back.
Yes, Turtle's a very passive guy. He's a very passive guy. You look at his abilities too. He's not exactly what anyone would call a violent person
No,
by any
I
a
means.
mean,
lot of the gifts related to Turtle are mostly about defense from what I'm reading.
Like fortification, it's you playing as the Iron Hands. No, not Iron Hands, the Imperial Fist in 40k. It's fortify, 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 fortify. That's how you play a Croatan.
Yes,
well,
they're
I would say he's very, very passive. Just more, I think stubbornness is the very big is a word that is actually pointed out a lot in the book.
Oh yeah,
That
they
once they
bring that
make it,
up as a treble flaw. Once the Croatan decide they're going to do something, that's it. There's no changing their mind.
mm,
And of course, we went into detail about what the Pure Lands were before in 2 other episodes, but we'll do it again. The lands weren't exactly pure. They were covered in worm monsters. Every monster that the Defiler Worm didn't think was good enough for the fight against Fenris, the Fianna, and the White Howlers, she would pick it up and just throw it over into the Pure Lands. And it was the Actina that made the Pure Lands pure, with their massive war bands that would eventually become the Aztec Empire, cutting a bloody swath across the entire continent until they reached Argentina, and the land was pure for a few centuries. And then, of course, colonization happened, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
yes.
And while the Wendigo were up north, building what would eventually be the Nunavut Nation before it would get torn down, and then they would get the Nunavut Nation again going, the Croatan looked around and said, um, "What do we do, basically? We're looking around. We moved away from California. We still have some guys in California, but we don't have gold. We don't have any money like that. We don't have any means of doing metallurgy. We don't have any like sturdy building materials that we can harvest from the earth aside from clay and grass.
at least not
And
yet.
Yeah.
we do some boating, but we are in no rush to ever make a junk ship the same way that China does, because we're looking off into the ocean. We don't see anything, and I don't think we really need it either. The Croton said, "We don't want to play civilization. We don't want to advance. We don't want to have all this stuff that we don't really need. We're just satisfied with what we have." you look at Native American culture, and the reason why the Native Americans never really built an empire, you have the Aztecs. I'm not talking about the Aztecs. I'm talking about Canada and North America. It's because the religion they had was deeply steeped in animism. It was the belief in spirits, specifically animal and nature spirits. And in venerating the spirits of their faith, it would be hunt us, harvest us. That's your way of venerating us. And that spiritual reverence for nature is what made them decide this is how we're going to live forever. We're going to sometimes be nomadic, sometimes set up a camp that becomes a city, a village, a town, and we are entirely satisfied with just hunting animals, harvesting plants, using what we hunt and harvest to make stuff, and then that's it. It was it was like a view of like we are a portion of nature, the way it's been explained to me. And you still see that with modern day Native American culture, where a lot of people that are very nationalistic about their tribes still have a deep reverence for nature.
Yes.
And that's where
Um,
it comes from with the Croatan. We didn't want to make an empire because that guy in the Altai, we respect the nature so much and we love Gaia so much that we're not really going to do anything weavery. We're not going to do anything wild either. We're just going to be a part of nature, and that's what the Croatan do.
well, I think there's also more. Sorry if I can just cut in.
Go
That's
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
But there's also the a lot of First Nations, they didn't have a lot of writing. Like there were some that had glyphs, such as the Anazia,
Mm,
but there weren't any writings like written in paper. And
mm,
part of actually building an empire is actually like connections and spreading out your influence. That's
mm.
how, and it can be done by doing writings, but without the absence of that, it's mostly just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And
Having like paper now written text, I see exactly what you're saying. Doug, I have struggled with Actena names and Wendigo names. The Actena don't appear in our life play, but the Wendigo are somewhere, and I'm waiting for Kyle to go to Mohawk Valley so he can introduce all these Wendigo that I've made. But I have looked and looked at some names, and because of that no written language, I have no idea what any of these words mean. And it seems that the historians who harvest the words and discover the words don't really know either, because it's an
mm,
entirely oral language that's not written, exactly like what you're saying.
exactly, it's word of mouth, and a lot of the culture and history has actually kind of been lost to history because,
Mhm.
I mean, because the settlers that came in and a lot and kind of wiped out a lot of their people. And so a lot of the major elders who were kind of the most knowledgeable of their culture, like
Mhm.
when they die out, there's not really much like it's kind of left to interpretation of like of their of the new
Cultural history,
generation. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I
So
don't remember where the proverb came from. I think it was an African proverb that once said, "When an elder passes away, a library burns down."
Mhm.
that's a nice quote.
It's like this the same issue with the Adeptus Mechanicus in 40k, where you rely on your priest to remember everything. But then when a priest dies, that's an entire archive of information that dies with the priest. It's that you can make that like a legit criticism of like Native American history, where if you had the written language, we probably would have had a better idea. But that's not entirely fair to blame somebody for not writing down uh, their history or making an alphabet. If you
Mm.
want a civilization, you need that to happen. I mean, by civilization, I mean empire.
I
I'm
guess like
thinking of
so which
yeah, I'm thinking
sorry,
of like
go ahead.
Civilization 6 on the brain again. That's why I said civilization.
Yeah, but I mean,
Oh,
even without that, you can still have some. You can still have a cultural history. It's just a lot harder to keep concise. I mean, that was the
Mm.
big
mhm.
argument between what was it, Aristotle and Plato deciding on is writing really necessary for civilization. It turns
And
Mm.
there's
out it
also the
is.
stick
Go
yeah,
ahead.
and it's also the stigma of like there are Puritans that want to keep it as theirs as possible. They don't want any white settlers' influence of their culture as well. So it's kind of hard to differentiate what is theirs and what is the influence
Mm.
of the settlers around them.
Yeah, it's true as well.
But I was also going to mention that kind of answers your question earlier about the book and why you can't really understand what it is that they do with the Croatan, because I mean it kind of reflects like history itself. Like there's no way of actually telling. It's all kind of based on interpretation, because the
Mhm.
White Howlers, they at least have some sort of, they kind of at least had some type of glyphs or some
Mhm.
form of writing,
Yeah.
if not from themselves. At least
Mhm.
their neighbors, the Fiano, who actually invented the Garu glyphs, they actually have something to actually stand by, and
Mhm.
they're also invaded by civilization, like being the Romans a little earlier.
The Fenris.
Yeah,
And then eventually the Fomori from the north. So I mean,
yeah, and then the Christian church decided to Christianize all their religious beliefs, and
Exactly. You look at Beowulf too, and Beowulf you can tell a Catholic monk translate that entire thing, because that I've talked about Beowulf in this channel several times, but like the whole praise God and Christian aspects of it were put in that book after the book was translated. They realized that it was pagan, and then replaced the pagan stuff and replaced it with Christian stuff, which was direct mailing of history. You still get a good idea as to what Viking and Nordic culture was from reading Beowulf, but you can tell that some information has been lost because what god were they venerating in Beowulf?
Well, ostensibly, like from the historical perspective, yeah, they were definitely, praising Odin and the Allfather. But no, once the Latin priests got a hand in it, they said, okay, well, they've got this really neat story from the Northmen. What if we take all their pagan idolatry and say they were praising God, and then give it back to them? And it's like, hey, we wrote your story, and then the future generations that grow up learning Latin, so they can, either conquer or trade with the people to the south and to the west of them. And then they read their
Mhm.
old fables that the elders have since passed away, who knew the original pagan versions, and then they grow up reading the Latin versions.
Mhm.
like it kind of makes me think when you read like the classic books, like some of them you just don't. Some of them, like the authors would say, "Oh, I don't want this to be interpreted into a movie." Kind of like how Tolkien, like in
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, he hated like the movies. It's kind of the same thing you could actually say about either the First Nations or even the Celts, were like books. What are these? No, you won't be able to. No, the best way to actually interpret this story is through storytelling, word of mouth at the campfire. Books,
Mhm.
it doesn't get it right.
Yeah, there is something lost from text. You don't have the rapid fading of language with text, but at the same time, you do miss the emotion that somebody can put behind a story. It's like when you have a friend that has a really good funny story, and you want to bring all your other friends to that friend so they can all not just hear
Mm,
the story but experience it from the person that had the story happen to them. It's something like
Mhm.
that with the Croatan and all the other First Nation people. It's like, we don't just want you to know the words, we want you to feel the story.
we
Mhm.
want you to participate in the story.
Exactly.
You know,
Now, there's something interesting that starts in the Croatan book. This is a pretty cool plot point, and it starts back when the Croatan were about to leave for the Pure Lands, back when they were a portion of the Wendigo. They have this whole vision, and it's a member of the Proto Croatan wakes up and keeps saying, "Mommy, mommy, I keep having this nightmare." And the Croatan father of that kid looks over and says, "Oh, what's going on?" "I keep having a dream about this monster." "Oh, that sounds bad." And then he goes to sleep, and then he has a dream of this massive dragon monster splitting itself from above ground and entering the world and destroying the world. And then that Croatan thinks about it, and then walks over to the Wendigo and says, "I think we need to head for the Pure Lands." And the reason why the Croatan stay in the Pure Lands is why the area in particular, that's the place where that vision happened. They start looking around and ask the ancestor spirit, "Is this where the dream happened?" He says yes. And what they're predicting is the arrival of the Eater of Souls. That's what they saw in that dream. So why the Eastern Seaboard in particular with the United States? It's because they were waiting for a dragon to eventually appear in that area so they could one day combat it. That was like the version of the Fianna looking at the White Howler Black Spiral Dancers, saying it's our destiny to eventually fight and kill the Black Spirals. For the Croatan, it's eventually our destiny to fight the Eater of Souls.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, from how I read the book, it was, the one is like I had told literally all of the Garrow about that, but the Croatan or the the Wendigo, then Proto Croatan, were like, oh wow, that looks pretty bad. Why don't we go do something about this? And Gaia gave, and that's how they came up with all of their eventual totems, like Sasquatch eventually turning to Wendigo, and the World Turtle, and eventually Great Ectena himself. Gaia brought all of her spirits and totems along in order to aid them on their journey to the Pure Lands, because the Wendigo and Proto Croatan were the only ones to heed her word, because no other tribe had listened to the dreams. They just thought it was a dream. But because they were the ones that listened, they were the ones that were honored. But I would like to say, and I keep coming back to him, but only because I love him so much as a character, but Crescent Vision, and he's an odd mirror to the Croatan themselves when you think about it, because he had a dream that he was fated to die in the Pure Lands, and, the first Croatan to receive the vision from Gaia, he had the dream that he was going to fight and die to protect the Pure Lands. So in a way, Crescent Vision was just an odd Nostradamus sort of prediction of the future for the Croatan in the form of somebody that traveled with him, which is why it was good that, and it was indeed, I think it was 3 scars, and I think it was actually Crescent Vision that helped find where the Eater of Souls would eventually emerge. Or no, 3 Scar, I think, was the other guy's name.
Which was the Seventh of the Still Waters, right?
Yeah.
Or is that just...
Then the question is, did they ever expand outside of the eastern seaboard? They did. They went all the way to Mexico. They looked at the Ectena. They had a great relationship with the Ectena. And they looked at Ectena, who had just cleared out Mexico of all of the worm beast, and looked over at them and said, hey, check this out. And he pulled up a little vegetable known as corn. Of course, they called it maize back in the day, but corn. And the Croatan looked at it and said, yo, this is awesome. It's sweet. It comes off in like piece size. I can portion out how much I'm going to eat for the day with this corn. And the way it grows, it's like what do we call this? A stalk. We'll call it a stalk. And the way it comes out, it's got all these leaves. And this is a really cool looking plant. Let's just share this with everybody. So they start taking the corn from the Ectena, and then they just plant corn everywhere. And it's like an obsession with the Croatan, with growing corn.
I did think that was kind of funny. They were like, wow, this shit fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, corn is the best crop.
Yes.
It's a high tier vegetable. And in fact, they plant so much corn, it summons a totem. Corn Maiden. You plant enough corn, you get a corn woman.
It's like the Fianna having grain. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a maze.
This is why you eat your vegetables, kids. Eventually, after you grow enough corn, you eat enough corn, you get a corn wife after a while.
You can do a lot of things with corn. You can make sugar out of corn.
But Corn Maiden was a little bit morbid because she said, hey, the next time you kill a worm monster, if one shows up, can you please fertilize the ground with its blood? And the Croatan said, sure thing. And then they would start killing worm monsters, getting their blood in a bowl, and then pouring it on the ground. And then it'll grow some more corn. And because Corn Maiden asked them to do that, the corn would be extra strong, extra healthy, and extra delicious after that happened. And you remember when I brought up Cahokia with the Wendigo?
Yeah, a while ago.
That's why the Croatan never invaded it. It's because the Cahokians were taking blood and pouring it into the ground for their harvest. Even though they were doing it of the worm, the Croatan didn't know that. And it said, oh, they're just taking blood corn on the ground for the harvest. We do that too. Big deal, Wendigo. We're going to leave Cahokia alone.
Yep. And lo and behold, they were indeed worm tainted. And it was, I think I remember, it's like a shaman of Helios or something.
Yeah, the Wendigo know what they're talking about is the moral of that story.
Yes. Listen to little brother. He knows what he's talking about.
I wonder if there's like an
And
origin story of like the origin of red corn, because that's the
mhm.
corn that was nourished with the blood of the enemies.
That wouldn't surprise me, in all honesty. That's actually a pretty good point there.
It was beautiful nourishment.
Yes.
And going past Cahokia, uh, it also brings up the Cahokia story in here. It just doesn't refer to it as Cahokia by name. And when I saw the snake there, once again, that wasn't a big deal in the Crotan's eyes because, Atena, the giant snake that we see following our brothers around in the Umbra, there's a snake over there. Big deal. We're looking for a dragon, not a snake. So you never really recognized the worm as the worm because they were looking for a very specific worm. They were only going off of what the Ictena is telling them. And as we know with the Ictena is that they tend to leave out a lot of details.
Well, yeah, they don't trust anybody else with their secrets.
And they didn't really learn about the the Tradic worm, until after Cahokia, where they had a little conversation with the snake spirit that was of the worm, and then said, "Oh, you're a sheep in a wolf's den." Ironic me telling you that. Fine. Let me just spill the tea as to how we're going to eventually kill you. And that snake spirit tells them about that Tradic worm. And then and only then, after Cahokia, do they learn what the worm really looks like beyond the information that they were getting from the Ictena.
Well, yeah, and is that where is that the part in the story where Three Scar is being told about the brothers of the worm?
Yes.
As the Beast of War, the Eater of Souls, and what was the third one? I forget.
Defiler.
Yeah.
Get to learn all this different stuff behind them. And time goes on, and they're thinking, all right, we know what the worm looks like. We know what it looks like. We know how to prepare for it. We're going to prep up for our eventual fight against the Eater of Souls. He brought him up by name, the Eater of Souls. We know this is real. Guy doesn't lie to us. And they're waiting and waiting. And the question is, with all this waiting, did the Croatan talk to anyone else? Yes, they did, to 3 other groups of people. The Girl, where that's your favorite, Kyle.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a big cuddly bear.
That can perform necromancy.
And the Korax, to the surprise of nobody.
Korax love talking anyway, so if they didn't talk to them, they would talk to the Croatan.
The Chatterboxes. And the last group they talked to was the Nuninhi, the Native American changelings. And we went a little bit in depth with the Nunninhi, but we're going to do a dedicated Nunninhi episode eventually. So once again, we're just going to hold off on the Nunninhi for now. But once again, the Nunninhi, the reason why they like the Nunninhi so much is because they have a lot of things in common with World Turtle and Corn Maiden. Where these are spirits that really like nature. We've gone to the dreaming before. We've seen just how wild some of the stuff is in the dreaming. This looks pretty cool. And the Croatan hit off at the Nunninhi. And the question is, well, why would you ever hate a member of the Fae?
They do like playing a lot of tricks.
Yeah. Even the Unseelie Court, they can be assholes sometimes, but that's more like their job. And it's like the citizens of Halloween Town with the Unseelie Court. We scare people, we cause terror because that's just what we do.
Yeah, well, you got to balance it out.
And
it's actually kind of interesting. So.
Danstein, bring your mouth a little closer to your microphone.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that's just kind of interesting. Like it's actually giving me, like I didn't get enough chance to actually read the book myself, like again, like I said, but from what you're telling me about what you read, it's actually giving me a lot of ideas.
Of how to hang on to those ideas. We're going to use them in a minute.
Cool.
And of course, time goes on and on and on, and the Croatan are still waiting and still waiting and still waiting for the fight to happen. And while they're waiting, you begin to realize that the Croatan have a lot of time on their hands. And the Crotans start breaking off into different families, and each one of those families forms a different Native American tribe. How many Native American tribes can you name? We have the Cherokee, the Iroquois, the Sioux, the Lumbee, uh, the Comanche, the Navajo. We can go on and on and on with all the different tribes we have. And those are all formed off the back of Croatan families who were just going around and had connections with just about every tribe there was to find in North America. And the Wendigo don't really talk to them anymore, so Maine and Ontario is as far as they're going to go up north, and then the Wendigo keep us out. And they also intermingle with the Actina kinfolk. The Actina, of course, know about their kinfolk because they point out the breeding issue with the red talons. You're eventually going to run out of wolves to breed with. You need to pick some humans. And the Croatan would go over and say, "Hey, can I have a wife?" And the Croatan said, the Actina said, "I'd love to give you a wife." And then they would give their wives over to the Croatan. And behold, they would intermingle, and then we have the Native American tribes of Mexico.
And sometimes, like, women needed a husband.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. You give me that wife, I'll give you my husband, and we will intermingle, and then behold, maybe expand. But the Actina started getting a little weird around this time. It's because the Actina started discovering a whole bunch of crazy stuff down south, namely stuff like the crystal skulls, where to this day we still don't know the full story as to crystal skulls, and the whole conspiracy about whether or not these were polished objects that were planted just to be a part of a massive hoax. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I don't really have any theories on the crystal skulls.
It was proven that they were aliens in the 4th Indiana Jones movie.
There we go. Just watch the Indiana Jones movies. They'll tell you all you need to know.
Yes.
And
the Actina Dan Aykroyd feels about that.
You want to bring him on for an episode?
Oh, God, no. We'd be here for hours.
Not to go like briefly digress. You remember that episode he did on Joe Rogan, and 5 seconds into Dan Aykroyd talking, you immediately lose track of what he's talking about.
Yeah, the dude's nuts, but I love him. I don't care.
So they tend to start finding all these enigmas, and then start getting these obsessive behaviors that we would know the Actina for. And it starts weirding the Croatan out, saying, "Hey, can you leave your house, your tent, once in a while and talk to us?" And they just peek inside. They see the Actina just staring at a dagger that's blood red that made itself out of metal, and they're just staring at it. And then the Croatan just slowly walk away from the Actina.
What's even creepier is that they would probably say, "Oh, we do." Just don't see us.
Yep, basically. It's like we dug up a treasure in your backyard. You didn't notice.
And once again, this goes on for years and years. The Actina, the Croatan still talk. The Croatan look at their kinfolk and say, "Y'all can just do whatever you want. We're not exactly concerned. As long as you're just keeping our religious doctrine of animism and Gaian veneration, you're fine. You can just do whatever you please." And law enforcement was pretty lax with the Croatan. They didn't really punish each other. They just said, the tribe that you're a part of will leave jurisdiction to that. But the Croatan as a whole, we're not going to create a whole right of punishment designed specifically for application for the entirety of the Croatan nation, portion of Pure Lands. We're just going to let you settle things on a case-by-case basis.
Everything like is just kind of chilling for the most part.
Exactly, and it's because that whole chillness, that stubbornness, and that relaxation, what you would assume as negative traits of the turtle, eventually come to bite them in the ass with colonization. Fun times, right? We bring in all these people, we have a lovely Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and then they want to kill us. Fantastic story. This is why you don't invite anybody into your house.
We gave them some corn, and now all of a sudden they want to kill us. Maybe we shouldn't have put blood in the corn.
It's what we did. You didn't put enough blood in the corn. That was the issue.
That's the issue. Yeah.
The Actina lost the Aztec Empire to a blood-borne pathogen. You should have done the same with the corn.
I didn't think about that. They were just like, "Oh, corn," and then all the fucking Englishmen came over and was like, "You know what we can make out of this? High fructose corn syrup."
14th century biological warfare.
Yes.
you of course we've told this story how many different times in other episodes where to very quickly summarize it, colonization starts happening. The Surfangs do not care about what the Wendigo, Actina, or Crotan think, and just do whatever they please with the Pure Lands. And when the Crotan starts saying, "What are you doing? You brought the worm with us," the Surfangs tell them to shove their complaints up their ass. The Gefenris come over and then start making a mess, where we say, "Oh, there's war going on. Oh, let's fight these colonizers. Oh man, they're giving us money and guns. Let's turn around. Let's fight the Native Americans. Hey, there's the Wendigo. Let's fight the Wendigo." And then the Gefenris with their attention deficit disorder warfare start causing chaos. So great job, Gefenris. You look over at Fianna, and the Fianna are losers who are coming in and are doing the same thing the Gefenris are doing, but worse. You look down south, you've got the Shadow Lords feuding with the Actina to the point where they mistake a sealed spirit, a Bane locked in a temple, as the Actina being wormish werewolves, destroy the temple. That frees the Bane. That Bane then runs over at full speed to the Eater of Souls, releases it, and then it starts making its way all the way up to the portal that would eventually make for itself in the Eastern Seaboard. And great, you guys suck. European Garu just suck. We had a great thing going here, and then you just ruined it.
Yes.
And that's
Pretty
just
much.
the werewolves.
It
We
was
had a
pretty much
good thing
everybody.
going, and then you ruined it. And we, of course, we know the conclusion that the Actina came to. No, sorry, the Croatan came to. That after thinking and thinking, how in the hell are we going to fight the Eater of Souls? We're sending people to fight the Eater before it comes to our land. The Eater is killing them by just walking into them. There's nothing we have that can fight the Eater of Souls. We've been preparing and preparing and preparing, only to realize that all we've done is going to do nothing against the Eater of Souls. How are we going to fulfill our destiny? How are we going to save the world? And by doing a lot of enigmatic thinking, they come to a conclusion. We've been talking with World Turtle, and the best shot we really have at doing this is by doing a sacrifice in what was Roanoke. And we're going to do a massive sacrifice there. We're going to wait for the Eater of Souls to arrive. And then when the Eater of Souls does arrive, we're going to flip our trap card over. And then it's going to seal the Eater of Souls and all of us somewhere. We have no idea where we're going, but it's going to stop the Eater of Souls. And that's where their story ends after the Croatan do that. The Eater of Souls arrives. The Croatan, of course, do the sacrifice. They have some members of the Silent Striders and Actina with them. And that's it. No more tribe.
Yep. One giant prayer and one last push from our boy, World Turtle, and then the Eater of Souls is sealed away forever in the deep umbra.
We
Well,
think it's a deep umber. We actually don't know. It could be a mage realm for all we know. The reason why you get such sparse detail about what the details of the sacrifice were is to make sure you don't try to replicate it in character.
Oh.
well, what's funny though is that it's a like did the book specify that they were destined to fight this dragon, or was it said that they were destined to die fighting this dragon? So
It's well, we know how the Surfangs versus the Beast of War ended. It ended with the Surfang dying, and the Surfang had to be brought back to life by death itself. If you want exact wording, I can go back and try to find it for you. I believe it's more that it was their destiny to encounter this creature and have a fight with it. But I don't think it said in the book that they were guaranteed a victory.
No,
I think
it's
there was actually a
good.
vision of Gaia actually speaking to, like, because the story of the I think there was a story in the beginning of the book where the like one person from middle brother, big brother, and younger brother, they were walking the, I think it was the Umbra, and like at the very end, it was middle brother that, it was like Mother Gaia that spoke, that came to them, and she was weeping tears because she saw that in Middle Brother that he would become he would actually do a big sacrifice like sometime in the future. It's like
Mhm.
I'm not sure if they actually knew about it, or if the tears were just like again like I read the very first part a long time ago, and
Yeah,
Mhm.
I only just recently like reread it. So
yeah,
That's in here too.
that's about what I
Uh,
was reading
yeah,
when I looked over it this morning. Yeah.
where once again I have to ask you, Gaia, what are you doing with your chosen people? You could have said, "Hey, there's another solution here," but I guess Gaia didn't have a plan. So,
No, she
uh,
just has to keep existing.
and of course, the Croatan weren't guaranteed a victory. They were given the cryptic, "You will fight this creature and make things right," was the decree. They weren't guaranteed the victory in the fight against the Eater of Souls.
Well, I mean, it was sealed away. That's one of the three parts of the Triadic Worm sealed away. There's just the Beast of War and the Defiler.
And it came at a massive loss because we still have the other tribes, but this was the tribe that probably had the purest vision for Gaia. If you see Gaia as the universal good of the world of darkness, there's also the Silver Fangs and the Red Talons, which are the darker aspects of Gaia. So the good boys of Gaia are gone, and there's nothing you can really do to reverse that.
Yeah, the Croatan
well,
are just gone.
well, like you said, they sealed away the Eater of Souls along
Mhm.
with them, along with themselves with the Eater of Souls. So
Yes.
theoretically, when the apocalypse happens and the big fight happens and the Eater of Souls comes back again, will the Croatan return with them?
It
That
is possible.
Yeah, that's the big question. The only other, well, the thing, yeah, I mean, more than likely it'd be like the second coming. The Croatan, one of the purest visions for Guy, returns for one more fight, and maybe any last remaining White Howler would emerge. But you know
Mhm.
what? Sad boy me does not get a White Howler.
As for where World Turtle is today, he is in chronic depression and has gone to the Deep Umbra to mourn the loss of the Croatan, and he still hasn't gotten over it.
He's on his back.
Yeah, basically.
He's been flipped over. There's also like something twisted too, where I'm wondering if this was a plot point that got dropped, or if I'm reading a little too deep into it. There is an illustration in Book of the Worms Second Edition. That's a Fomori or like a Bane, Melgen, and Carta turtle that you see in that book, and hopefully that isn't implying what I think it's implying, where the worm gets turtle, and that's why you can't really take turtle as a totem.
I mean
So
that
hopefully it hasn't been wormed.
that would be
Is there a
terrifying.
Oh
do you have
yeah.
a link? Do you have a link to that or to that
Let me
picture?
let me, let me get the pic going.
Yeah, it is. I would like to know a little bit more about Turtle himself as a totem. Should we
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit?
Well, let's review a little bit about what we taught already, because like a little like recap of the history.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you had the proto Wendigo over in Asia. They and the three brethren that would eventually become the Wendigo Croatan and the Octana received a vision from Gaia about a great dragon creature that would descend upon a place known as the Pure Lands. And Mother Gaia
Mhm.
said that you need to fight. You need to fight to defend this Pure Land instead of this place here that has already fallen to the worm. And I will
Mhm.
give you my spirits, I will give you my totems, and I will provide you a way to go to these Pure Lands and live here and prepare for the fight. And so the three began on their perilous journey across the icy land bridge that would connect northern Russia to what is Alaska today. And so in
Mhm.
that, they journeyed far and wide, some of which passed away along the way. Others were picked off by worm creatures on the traversal. Sasquatch had lost his true love attempting to cross the land bridge.
The
And
morning sun.
yes. And further still, we also lost the real one, Crescent Vision, who gave his last to close the moon bridge in order to prevent the worm creatures from crossing into the Pure Lands. At which point the three ventured down across the North American continent, battling any worm where it bred and where it dwelled, and coupled with the power of the Gural and the Korax, and I believe they even mentioned the Bastet at one point, managed to nearly clean out the entire Pure Lens of the Taint of the Worm. And things were peaceful for a long time. The three brothers would visit each other. One note I liked about the story was whenever the Croatan sort of retreated back into solitude for too long, the Uktena and the Wendigo would come and they would stay until it hurt them to leave. If the Uktena got too nose deep into their enigmas, the Croatan and Wendigo would come down and they would challenge them to foot races and wrestling until they learned to appreciate their strength again. And when little brother Wendigo grew too vengeful of the worm, the Croatan and Uktena would come up and calm them down a little bit. And things were peaceful in the Pure Lands until the Wormcomers arrived and began to fuck everything up. It was Three Scar that had ventured down into Mexico and discovered the worm creature that would eventually be the Eater of Souls. And with
It was just straight nasty.
yes, I do love that exchange between Three Fang and the worm. How Three Scar was able to sort of lie to the worm in order to get him to reveal his plan, and eventually pass the information along to the Korax, who would pass the information along again to the rest of the Croatan about the Eater of Souls and about the Triadic Worm, and teach them more about their enemy, what would eventually start getting them to prepare for the final battle. And when it came, of course, the Croatan were lost in a great sacrifice in order to seal the Eater of Souls in the deepest depths of the Umbra that they can find. Such is the history of the Croatan.
And Danston, is there anything we are missing from what you remember about the Croatan?
I was going to say, like, the way you described, like, the relationship that they had, like, the Croatan really were the glue that kind of held like, the other brothers together. Like, I know you say there wasn't exactly an empire, but you know what? The way you kind of describe it, it actually was. Even though there wasn't any writing, there was no need for it because it was the Croatan that kind of just acted as the
gel
like,
in the
again,
middle
like the
of
glue.
it all. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, and of course, when like they when they died and like were no more, that kind of caused a very big split between the Uktena and the Wendigo, and now they don't trust each other because the connection, that glue, is lost.
Yeah, like even though in both of their tribe books they say that, they still call them, younger brother and older brother, you're absolutely right. They don't really trust each other the same way they did. The Wendigo are always picking at the Uktena for being too deep in their mysteries to care about the real fight. And the Uktena feel that the Wendigo are going to lose themselves to their rage and never be able to recover. So they both... what's up?
You got how they're acting today, where the Wendigo partially blamed the Uktena for the Croatan coming to their own conclusion. And the Uktena say, did you not read our tribe book? We tried to stop them. But the Croatan, middle brother, once he makes up his mind, he's going to do that no matter what. Think of all the different counter arguments we had where we said, we can just try to steal the Beast of War. Not Beast of War, Eater of Souls, but of course, the sacrifice happened anyway, and, communications break down, and now the two tribes don't talk to each other anymore.
Who here has have siblings? Anybody?
I do not have a half sibling.
I have two older brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm the youngest of the family. But to the I mean, like, it's interesting because the way they behave, it kind of really is like like a family. Like the older brother he's wise because he has to be, because he's the oldest. He feels that he has to be responsible for his other siblings, because
Mhm.
that's why he delves into like the dangerous stuff, because he feels that he's the only one that can do it. The and of course then there's the younger brother. I guess you could say the youngest one is kind of they want glory. They want glory. They want attention. They do it through action and violence. And of course, the parents don't exactly discipline them, like, because the other two brothers, they were the test subject.
Yeah, they were there, and now they have to imbue the parental wisdom on the youngest brother.
Yeah, and of course it's kind of funny because how Gaia actually looks to the Croatan to do the very big responsible thing. It's like, because usually the middle brother is the neglected one, of the family, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
yet this is the guy's way of saying, I'm gonna give you an important job because I think I've neglected you for a little too long. Here you go. You could fight this. You could fight this dragon.
Yes.
You,
Basically.
you prob- you probably could have a little resentment for the Croatan too, because they come across as Gaia's chosen people. And imagine telling that to the Silver Fangs or the Children of Gaia, that Gaia likes this tribe more than you.
Well, I mean, the Silver Fangs suck, but
Yeah, yeah, just how much that would chap the asses of both of those tribes.
I mean, everybody. We're all the guy's children according to the litany, right? So
that's true.
it's just we've all just have different jobs. That's all.
We're
Some
all
important
Gaia's
are very
We're all
important.
Gaia's children, but I'm her favorite.
And
There's always a favorite, and you know
mm,
Oh, the
sometimes it's.
Fiona. I mean,
fuck off, Fiona. You got shit.
better than the cat.
The Gaia Finers are the only ones that are pushing the war at this point.
That's all they do.
You got the benefit of the story. You just got to go to war. I am trying to find that turtle picture for you. Oh my god! I know I have seen this somewhere. It's not in Book of the Worm Second Edition. So I'm looking through all like wormish related books. I know what image I'm talking about. It's a turtle. It's got like a spiral in its shell with a like demon tree growing out of its back. I'm trying to find it.
A turtle that's danced the black spiral would be terrifying, especially given how strong defensively their gifts are.
So not only is the
And
turtle on his back, he's spinning on his back.
spinning
Yes,
around. He's got by a spin doctor.
I'd never gotten
And
the spin doctors.
I hate that band. And you look at the Croatan, and I like these guys, but then I'm bothered by them because it feels like at some point this becomes less of a tribe and more of a plot device. Where I'm looking at you guys, I'm saying, well, why couldn't this book have been written by the perspective of a Croatan, telling this history before he dies to a Sonnet Strider? That could have been a framing device. Or why did the Croatan have to die and all of them died, ancestors went with them, and you just can't talk to these people anymore? And you have to go off of Uctena, Wendigo, and Stargazer's secondhand knowledge. And not a single one of them joined the Uctena or the Wendigo. Not a single one of them got to move past the sacrifice. They all had to go. And it feels like we have a tribe here that could have been awesome and fantastic, and then it just never happened.
Yeah,
And
I don't know.
it's
They
something.
seem kind of cool to me. I like
Yeah,
them.
I like it, but it's giving me the feeling where I wish there was more. I wish there was more stuff about the Croatan, because Werewolf 20th edition has a White Howler tribe book where you have fully playable White Howler stats and everything. And
Hmm.
I look at that and it's written from a White Howler perspective. And I wish we had something like that with the Croatan. Because what we just talked about with Croatan Song, that was all the history we went over. The rest of this book is an encyclopedia of Native American tribes.
I mean,
That's what
it's
the rest of this book is.
I mean, it's still neat, but it's not really werewolf.
It's that
It's
I
kind of,
like
but it is kind of important though. I mean,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's part of their culture.
yes,
it. It
absolutely.
is. It's good to have the almanac, but 48 pages are dedicated to this. And if I'm going to pull up an almanac of Native American tribes, I'm not going to go to a tabletop developer to learn that. I'm going to go to a historian or an encyclopedia. I I don't think I can really take you seriously with this, considering the fantastical element involved in the story and the book that this is written in is fantastical. So the information you have, it's accurate for a bunch of people that had a library in Chicago to go off of, and that was it in the 90s. You did a pretty good job at looking up all these tribes, but at the same time, it feels like we're a little confused here because we're spending more time talking about tribes that are real and exist rather than the Croatan in the book.
Well, despite that, I think I could still actually use that because if you want to make, let's say you want to make a werewolf game, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to choose, okay, where do I want to have it? Where do I want to have this location of the game? Okay, you pick a location. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the natives within this location? Well, you look them up. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
what is it about? So you find out that okay, so there's gonna be some Navajo or Cherokee within this region. Okay, so what's the cultural significance of the Cherokee and such in regards to the werewolves of that tribe? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where you can find inspiration with this book, where
Mm-hmm.
when you're reading through and you find, oh, these guys were in correlation with more of the Wendigo as opposed to the Tena. Maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
find some interesting stories behind that.
Yeah, like
And I
one.
can look into the history, and I can always look into the history behind that off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like one of the campaigns that has recently caught my attention is Rage Across Appalachia. And as we said, the Croatan hung
Hmm.
around the eastern coast because that's where the ancestor spirits told them that the Eater of Souls would emerge. Um, and so that would honestly be a good way to sort of include this neat cultural touchstone in the game and also give you like a bit of a basis for plot points. Like, oh, here's an ancient Croatan artifact that Pentex companies are trying to get a hold of in order to do some evil shit along Appalachia. Go and stop them. And that could be the
Mm-hmm.
good crux for a campaign there.
And there's something else that I feel is missing from the Croatan book. It says that when it comes to breeds, that there's no major metis population amongst the Croatan. And they bring up the litany in it, but the Pure Land tribes didn't follow the litany until colonization happened. And the only people you really had to deliver the litany were the Sonnet Striders, who were middlemaning for the Surfangs, and the Surfangs didn't really have a way to enforce the litany in the Pure Lands. So why are we following a body of law that's not being enforced? And we already established in the book that the Croatan just let their kinfolk do whatever they wanted. So I don't really get why that's a detail in the book. We could have phrased it differently. We could have just said the Croatan have a very high intolerance for incest. And they just see that as disgusting. They don't want werewolves breeding with other werewolves because they see that, even if you're not brother and sister, they see that as brother and sister sex. And they outlaw that amongst their own tribes. They say that's a taboo. You just can't do that instead of having it be part of the litany. And I'm also noticing that the description of auspices, where how a Croatan would act differently depending on what auspice they would be, is also missing from the book.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a
And
that's a bit of an important thing to miss because they stressed highly, especially the importance of theurges with the journey of getting to the Pure Lands as well.
well, we can brainstorm that right now. We can do a bit of brainstorming. How would you do our Croatan theurge?
You know what I do? I mean, the most obvious route I would take, and I'm playing a theurge right now, is to have sort of a shaman, whose main job it is to communicate with the spirits of the land in order to instill growth. Because as Danston was saying earlier, that the Croatan are big into maintaining their land and making sure that it stays as pure as possible. So I feel like it'd be the job of the Croatan in order to communicate with the spirits of the land in order to find out, okay, what is out of balance here, and what can we do to help with that? and that would be the main job of the theurge, a Croatan.
You
Yeah, I
got
see
the
like the role of a keeper of the land in a Karen.
mhm.
I would say like no one does it better than a Croatan theurge.
That with the Croatan, you got the guy that everybody's going to when he's the theurge. He's the tree meister who lives in the trees and he ties all the knots and he drinks out of the cup and then tells you something smart. And that's the guy you go to. You need something done, you need to learn something, you go to your theurge for it. And behold, that whole tree meister theurge. He is the wisest guy when it comes to telling you how to tend to a forest, how to plant crops, how to hunt animals. He knows all the stuff about the woods because that's his job. It's being the spiritual guide of the woods, and
And they also
that's
yeah,
what you would do with Croatan Theurge.
and he would tell you how to build your home in
Mhm.
places where you would not be capable of. How do you build your home in a swamp? How do you build your home in the desert? How do you build your home in the trees where the light is never seen like in the nighttime? And it's hard to, and there's like danger everywhere. How do you set
Mhm.
your home in the right places?
How do you
Yeah.
survive this hurricane that's going to come over and blow everything down? Or better yet, get the guy to pray the hurricane away.
If you got a high enough
Yeah.
level theurge, then yeah.
Oh yeah.
And on this train of thought, the Ragabash of the Croatan.
Oh, that could be anything. The Regabash
The
are meant to be the
Ragabash,
contradictions of the tribe.
yeah, the Ragabash is a very malleable auspice.
Yeah, I feel like a Ragabash could go either way with the Croatan. You could either one that goes, hey, we got all this balance in the land, but don't you think it's important to have just a little bit of imbalance, just to, see here, let that population go just a little bit longer. You're getting a little bit too attached to your position as groundskeeper, or you could go the other way with a Croatan Ragabash. Go, hey, I know we're being chill and taking care of the land here, but we're still brothers with the Octana and the Wendigo. Maybe we should go check on them a little bit more. And you could have like a more proactive Ragabash that wants to
hmm
try and bring the brothers closer together.
Mhm.
it would be a very interesting kind of role because you have a very stubborn people that never change their minds. I would see
Mhm.
the Regabash as being kind of important to actually be kind of in charge of challenging like the decisions that they say are putting their foot down on
Mhm.
because like that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be challenging what is like the norm. They're supposed to be and what they declare to be is true and what is like what they've made their mind on.
You also have the Divine Clown, which was a job in a few Native American tribes, where you had a guy who would make jokes and make mockery of things that were stupid in the lives of the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And if it could be mocked, there was something wrong with it, and it needed to be fixed. And that's what the Reykjavik is. You had the Socrates who's walking around saying, "Why are we doing this? That's the way we've always done it." Okay, well, why is that the way we've always done it, and why are you still doing it? And then they
Mm-hmm.
start questioning and questioning and questioning until something changes.
Yeah, I'll probably see the Croatan looking at a Regabash with a lot of importance, I would say, because they kind of because otherwise, if they would make it, if every Croatan was making their decision and never changing their mind, it wouldn't work because you need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to learn.
Exactly. I am having a hell of a time finding that turtle image. I have one more book I can check. If it's not there, I give up.
Yep. But
I have checked. I have checked books of the Worm 1, 2, and 20. I have checked Freak Legion. I've checked Exodus Mundi. I cannot find it.
yeah, don't what? Don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal. Um,
So what about the Philodox though?
I mean, the Philodox seems fairly self-explanatory. I mean, you've
You've
got
got the Croatan.
yes,
Okay,
Croatan is supposed to
true.
be the glue between the Octana and the Wendigo, the mediator of all conflicts. Go to the Philodox Croatan if you need a dispute settled.
The designated chief of any tribe. That
Yes.
is the guy who's the judge, the mediator, the guy who's looking at everything. The Crotans say just run your tribe, your local tribe, however you want. And yeah, the Philodox is going to run it the way he wants to run it. and he's the guy who's making the laws, the local laws, deciding how business is going to be conducted within that tribe. And there you go with this oral tradition. As long as you follow the rules of the Philodox in charge at the time, everything will go fine. If you don't, the Philodox is going to whip out one of the punishment rites, or he'll come up with a unique punishment on the spot.
Yeah.
And as for the Galliards, is there anything partially unique or partially in tow when it comes to a Croatan Galliard?
We'll pull up a video of a powwow. Just anytime you've got the feather clothes and the drums and the dancing, and behold, you've got that's your Saturday night in a tribe. We're just going to go out. We're going to get in our best colors and our best beautiful suits, and we're just going to dance. And we're going to do a dance, and the guard's going to say, "All right, we have danced for the corn maiden. Now we're going to dance for a rain spirit." And then we do the rain dance, and then we do the Gaian dance, and then we do the turtle dance, and then we do all the dances, and there we go. You also have the Galliards who lead the rites. So this is a guy who's also out with the theurge and are saying, while you are getting the blood mixed, I'm going to sing the song and do the dance. And then after we do that, the rite will be complete.
Yep. Basically, he's a theurge's best friend at this point in time. It's like the theurge calls upon the spirits, the Galliard gets their attention.
I checked the last place that picture could have been. I checked Clan Books Amici, and it's not there. I give up.
You're going to be scanning through a random book for another podcast episode, and you're
know
gonna
this is
randomly
real.
happen across it.
I know it's real. I know I'm not
Are
making
you
this
sure?
up. I just cannot find the book.
Okay.
I don't know, John. It could be a figment of your imagination.
I saw this. I've seen this picture several times.
It's a Malkavian mind trick, John.
It's a worm book, and I don't remember which worm book it is.
Hello, this is Gaslight John, the podcast.
This is me. Is this that time you tried to convince me that Juana Man wasn't real?
It's the time I took you to Wawa.
Which that's not real. It's not a real
Yes,
place.
it is. You got a
Nobody would
delicious
name,
meal
Nobody
there.
would name their company that something that stupid sounding.
For context, John came up to visit me last summer, and I was like, "Hey, man, let's go to Wawa." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "A gas station, Wawa. They got sandwiches there." And he was convinced. He's like, "Dude, you're taking me to a place that doesn't exist. There is a chain of gas stations out here called Wawa, and you can get a sandwich there at like 2 a.m. when you're hammered. It's awesome." And then I took him there.
Says when they're holding their hands up and they want to drink, they're going to say, "It's I want the Wawa, mommy."
Yeah, I know it's dumb, but he's like, as we're walking in, he's like, "Dude, you're taking me to a place that doesn't exist." I'm like, "Yes, this is a Malkavian mind trick, and you're going to get a great sandwich. You're going to wake up tomorrow, and you're just going to be covered in blood."
I woke up and I was sitting in the middle of an empty parking lot chewing on a plastic Coke bottle.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the Crotan Arun. We mentioned before the Actina Arun, that the Actina say the first soldier to get mad and enter a frenzy is going to lose the fight. That'll be the same thing with the Croatan. We want a level-headed, focused warrior who's not going to lose his shit in the middle of a fight. We don't want you seeing red. We want you to keep your head on straight and make sure that opponent dies.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We want a combat discipline soldier.
Like looking at his starting willpower, it's 5. No other tribe ever has 5.
That's huge.
Jesus.
That's huge. 5 willpower, dude. He's not lying. I can verify that.
Yeah, that's a busted stat.
All those rerolls. And this is first and second edition rerolls too, where it's not the 1 dice that I use in my games. It's all the dice that you reroll with willpower in that game.
Oh wait, with willpower you reroll all the dice? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the way that mechanic typically works, and I don't do that because it feels like, yeah, that's good in your hands as a player, but enemies also have that. And to prevent the game's every combat session from just being us rerolling attack rolls and then killing each other instantly, I just do the rules I use for my game.
Yeah, for what we did in Vampire 5th Edition when we played that.
That was a mistake. We should have played V20.
So you just only... Oh, so when you do real power rolls, you just roll your current will, or just what your max will would be?
the permanent willpower is you doing the like Tyler resisting his seizures. That's the permanent
I see.
willpower. The temporary willpower, the way we're doing it is that every one willpower you spend is one dice block you re-roll. It's supposed to be all the dice you
Okay.
re-roll with the willpower, which could result in you rolling even more ones than you did the first roll.
Yeah, so it's a more balanced way to go about it, in our opinion. Just as like, okay,
Yeah,
I
instead of
want to
automatic
re-roll.
successes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna re-roll my lowest die to try and undo a crit fail, and if you manage to actually hit something with one die re-rolled, I think it's a bit more level of how to do it. Okay, so we've talked about the history. We talked about Turtle a little bit. Do you want to go a little bit more in depth with? We've done auspices. Do you want to go a little bit more in depth about Turtle?
Turtle, I can do a totems. I can do a totems now.
Yes.
We have a handful to talk about. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 totems to talk about.
Yes.
Going down the line. We'll start with Turtle because you won't really want to learn about Turtle.
He's such a good guy.
Background costs 7.
Jesus, that's expensive.
The great spirit that carries the earth on his back. Turtle is the very definition of honor and steadfastness. He is gentle and sturdy, and encourages his children to defend first and attack second. When the Croatans sacrificed themselves to banish the Eater of Souls, Turtle fell into a great depression and withdrew from the spirit hierarchy of Gaia, refusing to act as a totem for Pax any longer. It said that he'll return just before the final battle for the apocalypse, but nobody knows if that's actually true. Take it that Turtle doesn't really talk to anybody anymore. He's walked into his room, he's closed the door, and he's just never came out.
He's just blasting the Black Parade on his speaker.
Yeah, just curled up, like knees to his chest on his bed.
Or he's just talking to everybody, but very, very slowly, where you can't really.
Oh.
Don't tell anybody you're down here with me. We get to have a private Croatan party. The traits. Turtle teaches his children the gift Turtle Body. In addition, each pack member gains a point of stamina, even if this would take you above 5. That's why he's so expensive. 6 stamina, dude. The pack may draw upon any additional 5 willpower points per story. And Croatan, if you have Turtle as your totem and you're not a Croatan, will look favorably upon you. The ban. Turtle is very concerned with the honor of his children. He will withdraw favor if any child loses permanent honor or refuses to stand in a struggle and defend against the destruction of Gaia.
Yes. Honestly, that ban isn't terrible. For 7
Yeah, it's not bad.
points.
Just like, just have a backbone, no problem.
Basically,
Yep,
yeah.
Don't violate the litany because you lose all your stuff at Turtle.
Yeah, that is that explains why the Croatan are, such hardliners when it comes to doing what they say they're going to do, because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, who else do we have? We have Corn Maiden.
Corn.
The magical corn woman.
Quick, start singing Freak on a Leash.
There we go. Background cost 5. The giver of the great gift of corn. Corn Maiden is notable for being one of the few spirits affiliated with the Weaver, that is a Pure Land totem, and the Geru trust her. She is a strong totem with deep ties to the elements of earth and a strength of plants. She also draws power from generosity. She is much loved amongst the human nations, and her packs receive much of that same friendship. Traits: the Corn Maiden, you will learn the gift Cookfire. They also receive 2 temporary points of wisdom. So long as they are friendly and helpful, Corn Maiden's children also receive 3 dice to any social role dealing with humans. Charisma check for days, dude. You will never lose another check again.
That's fantastic. Like 3.
Boom.
That's 3 dice on all social rolls.
If you want to min-max, you could roll a charisma and empathy check. With the 3 extra dice, that is 13 dice you're rolling for that check.
Yeah, that's fucking busted.
Now for the ban. Corn Maiden's children must assist their human relatives with the planting and harvesting of corn, and are asked to give the gift of planting to other nations may they encounter it. Packs who follow Corn Maiden usually carry a handful of corn kernels in their pocket wherever they go. And that's the ban. Just reach to your pocket, there's the corn kernels.
Hey, popcorn's good for you.
Yeah, man. I can see just like a passive Philodox just like seeing an argument go about. He just pulls out popcorn right in his pocket.
Yeah. I feel like it's that meme of the Hulk handing Ant-Man a couple of tacos. It's just that, but like it's a handful of corn kernels.
So you're telling me that Keemstar's a Croatan?
Yes. He's a Croatan Philodox.
He's a Croatan Ragabash. You see all the shit he starts up.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're probably right about that.
Now, this guy I like. I put him on the ballot for our Werewolf game. We didn't roll him. His name rolled twice in that wheel I was making. We could have had a game where Thunderbird was our totem.
Oh, did I put that there?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Yeah, because I was actually gonna. Oh, okay.
You're going what?
Yeah, I did put that there. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Seeing something in the Matrix. Thunderbird. Background cost 6. Thunderbird is one of the greatest of all totems, a powerful spirit whose battles against the creatures of the worm are legendary. Some say that Thunderbird has no real body, that he is a being made out of thunderclouds with sharp claws made out of lightning. The traits.
He's cool as hell.
Thunderbird's children gain Intimidation 1 and Survival 1 upon taking him. They can call upon an extra 5 willpower points per story and find allies among the Wendigo and the Were-Puma, the Were-Mountain Lion, the Pumonka. In desperate times, Thunderbird may attack using a bolt of lightning from the sky to smote whoever you're fighting.
That's fucking tight, dude.
There's a random chance that can just happen. Just on a clear day, a bolt of lightning will fly out and shoot whoever you're fighting.
Quick,
play the awesome.
Play the footage from Caddyshack of the preacher going golfing.
It's very wholesome to call. The Lord wanted to interrupt me on the best game of my life. The ban. Thunderbird detects cowardice and will not tolerate packs that flee from encounters where they aren't clearly overmatched. He also demands that his children battle against monsters, wicked spirits, and the forces of the worm whenever possible.
So basically the same thing as the Get a Fenris Bane.
There's something that I'm thinking about. Yeah. What if this is Grandfather Thunder by another name?
That wouldn't surprise me, in all honesty. I mean, they're both, made out of thunder. They both hate cowardice.
I have infiltrated the Pure Lands, and nobody knows it's me. Give me your prayer. Give me your veneration, so that I may grow stronger. Yes, I'm definitely a bird, believe me.
That does sound like something that a Shadowlord Totem would do.
Maybe
for a guy who feels a lot like the Emperor of Mankind. You were saying?
Maybe he's the real Grandfather Thunder, and what if the Shadow Lords are praying to the wrong guy?
This propagated myth.
Yeah. That's neat. That's a neat point there, The
conspiracies.
Why have they been failing this whole time?
I don't know. The
Thunder guy.
Yeah.
And Shadow Lords just need to start planting corn, and everything will turn around for them.
Exactly. And start making whiskey instead of vodka, and you're good.
Next up, the Earth Burrowers. I have no idea what these guys are supposed to look like. They are given a physical description saying that they appear as moles and prairie dogs, but then you enter the Umbra and then they look like complete freaks of nature. The traits: each burrower teaches the gift burrow and underneath. In addition, they can also be petitioned to temporarily grant the gift umbral burrowing. If the pack is in need of um, if the pack really needs it. The packs also receive 2 extra dice in survival rolls. The background cost is 4. The ban is that there is no ban.
Well, it varies by the totem, but it doesn't really.
Yeah.
It doesn't specify one, which is kind of odd.
So you could just take these guys, and if you use it the way the book is written, I guess we just have a totem where there is no drawback, but you could also cross-reference mole and prairie dog and any other
Any other
burrowing
burrowing critter.
like badger.
Yes.
Just apply it right to
And
the
that
name. They all do the same
that could
thing.
that could also work.
Yep. I feel
But
like that's up to storyteller discretion.
the minute I looked at Earth Burrowers, though, my mind immediately went to Langoliers, Stephen King book with like the giant mouths that eat stuff that's not supposed to exist.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah. Next up, Walrus.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
Yeah, post Walrus in here. I am the Walrus. That's why he says when he shows up. All right. The Walrus, background costs 7. Walrus befriended the 3 brothers during the Great Migration to the Pure Lands, and has become a friend to Wendigo, but he will also give favor to the Croatan. He is a mighty totem, renowned for his strength, and for his majestic tusk, and for his massive mustache. Walrus grants his pack 2 extra dice that they can use on stamina or strength rolls. Though only one member of the pack can benefit from this at a time. All pack members receive 2 temporary glory, and each pack member gains 2 dice to soak damage. But that can only come from cold. The ban. Walrus asks that his pack not hunt his animal children for their ivory, and to punish anyone who slaughters walruses for the sake of their own vanity. Do not kill a walrus, and kill poachers.
Oh, okay. It sounds pretty good. It's a very expensive totem, though. 7, but still, like, 2 dice against... I mean, it'd be good for, like, an Arctic campaign. Like, you have to destroy an oil well in the Arctic, and you need to resist cold. But also the extra strength and stamina. Pretty fucking tight.
Did you ever see the video of the polar bear that was trying to hunt the walruses? And the walruses are smart. They know that the polar bears are going after the cubs, their little pups.
Mhm.
So the walruses will just form a wall of their own bodies that their blubber and skin is so thick the polar bear can't pierce it. And then the polar bear just has to give up if they can't get to a kid fast enough because the walruses are just, a literal wall of fat and skin.
They're thick boys.
Yes. That's pretty neat, though.
If it was me,
Yeah.
actually, I would probably add an extra trait of anybody who actually chooses walrus as a totem. They just automatically grow a mustache.
They become Jamie Heidemann from Mythbusters.
The most fantastic of all mustaches. You get the Sam Elliott mustache.
Oh, Jesus.
And then finally we have trout. Now you may be wondering, why is a delicious fish a totem?
Because I'm hungry.
Trouts are not that good tasting of fish.
The trout's a pretty poor tasting meat. It's very slimy tasting when you eat a trout.
You cook it with eggs. Evidently, the oil helps the eggs cook.
See, trout is something of a trickster figure, but he is also a spirit of bounty and generosity. He teaches his children to be as slippery and swift as he is. Traits: trout teaches his children the gift Spirit of the Fish. Pack's members subtract 2 from all difficulties involving swimming or escaping enemies. In addition, any one pack member at a time can call upon an extra 2 dice for a wits roll. The ban: Trout's children must never take more fish than they need from a river. Trout also asks that all of his children learn to swim without the benefits of the gift. Background cost 5.
Now this is a Croatan ragabash totem if I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm.
You get to have the guy who just hangs out in the river all day swimming. He plays
the
pranks on
bane's
people
also
and then runs
not
away.
that bad. It's basically just get yourself a fishing license.
Yeah, basically.
And there you go. I think this guy's also a girl totem.
Ah, okay.
The girl find the trout to be very tasty.
Yes. I like the girl.
Here,
I
just
know.
sit at the top of this waterfall. It'll just jump into your mouth, bro. Believe me.
I mean, a very fishy smelling girl, if you ask me.
That's okay.
We will refer to them as the fishmonger.
Yeah.
Okay.
A flying fishmonger.
And that is it for the moment.
Okay.
Now, Kyle and our special guest, Danson Murphy, we are going to go into our relationships portion. But our relationships portion is a little weird because there's not that much information in the book. So
No.
we'll be making this up mostly case by case.
Okay. Cool.
We'll take what we already know about this tribe and we'll expand upon the ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll begin in reverse order with the Actina first.
Well, I mean, it's older brother. They more than likely, well, I mean, not more than likely. They love their older brother. They have their noses in their mysteries too much, but they're always there to help pull them back to reality with a good foot race or a wrestling match to go, hey, remember, you still have to fight things, right? It's basically what they do.
Yeah.
And before we did this episode, I told you how much I play with AI. I copied a transcript of Crotan's song, posted it into ChatGPT, and then told it to talk to me as the Croatan for this portion.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And what I got from it was it saying, the Actina, we share a close relationship with the Actina, often collaborating on researching and mystical endeavors. Their dedication to uncovering the hidden truths and ancient knowledges aligns with our own pursuits of learning new ways to defend Gaia.
That actually makes a whole lot of sense. Digital Eye
Okay.
knocked it out the park with that one.
Mm-hmm.
You might
Next
have
up, the
you might have remembered,
what you were
Danston,
saying?
that the constant joke on the channel is that John uses Chat GPT so much and that he's a glasswalker Galliard. So his
I
personal
really
totem is Digital
love
Eye.
using computers. The advancement of AI and automation is something I really enjoy using.
Honestly, it's actually helped me a lot as well when it comes to writing out cover letters and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds pretty
I'm not
nice.
complaining.
I've got a digital archive and assistant all in one.
Oh, Christ, I gotta tell you, wait for one person in the same fucking place.
You get to have the cockroach glasses where it connects you to RoachNet. Right. Let's do the Wendigo.
Yes. So the Wendigo, once again, that's little brother, and little brother, of course, they're worried about him, succumbing to rage. He's very useful as far as holding off the worm on the shores of the Pure Lands, but we need to occasionally go up there, calm him down, keep him company, keep him in good spirits.
Yeah.
Same thing with you, Danson?
I'm just trying to compare the relationship of the same as how an actual family of a little brother and an older brother would actually behave, because when I was, because I'm the little brother, sometimes the two older brothers would team up and pick on me, sometimes they would pin me down while the other person farted on my face, kind of thing.
It gives you pink eye afterwards.
Yep. Or sometimes the middle brother would actually team up with me, so that to basically go after the bigger brother, because he's the oldest and the strongest. And there would also be like a bit of a kind of a rivalry of wits between the middle brother and the older brother as well, because the youngest the younger one is the most naive, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't learn the hard way, like their parents taught them.
As they should.
And the big brain idea. The AI result is the Wendigos' fierce protection of their territories and their history of resistance against the worm resonate with us. We appreciate their efforts in fighting as long as it's against the collective forces of the worm and not against other pack members or other tribes.
Yeah, it sounds about right there.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, but could you please stop fighting the Fianna and the Geofimris?
Yep. It's like, hey, those are Garrow too. You see how they can change like you guys, and they're also kind of fucking tough? We actually kind of need those guys.
Next up, let's do the Black Furies. How do you think they would relate to the Black Furies?
The Black Furies is kind of an interesting case because the Croatan don't really venerate the wild all that much. I mean, Gaia is their main focus, and also, of course, feminism is a weaverish idea, at least according to the rest of the Gara there. But I feel like they would respect them for their affinity to protect the natural order of things, but would sort of be. I feel like they would be off put by their veneration of the wild more than anything.
Danson, you have an idea?
Um, not I'm not quite sure. Um, yeah, because the Croatan do seem to actually kind of mold parts of the earth, much like kind of the Weaver does, whereas the Black Furies are more of the wild, where they actually just create the life itself.
Well,
Um,
Wadish,
but I think they may share with the Black Furies in terms of
their sheer tenacity, their just refusal to die.
Yep.
yeah, I guess you could say that, but also their closeness to family and community, even
Yes.
though theirs is more kind of sexist in a way.
A little
Well,
bit.
yeah, a little bit.
It's that the technological response I got is the Black Furies' dedication to justice and the defense of women is a value that we respect. We appreciate their fierce determination, and we see the potential in this tribe for being a strong ally against the worm. But I do imagine, this is me talking, not the AI, that they would be a little puzzled as to why the Black Furies exist. Because why? What is your tribe value again? Feminism? Well, we didn't really need that as the Croatan because we always respected our women. Uh, do all of your people over in the old world treat their women like shit? And then they look at Europe, look at Asia, they look all over, and the answer is yes.
Like, you guys could just come join us, right? Like,
You
we
can
treat
just
people good.
leave us all behind, just join the Croatan instead.
Yep.
I guess that'll be another knock against Western values in the eyes of the Croatan.
Yep, basically. It's like, wow, they kind of suck at treating people fairly over here. Maybe they should treat people fairly like us.
Now let's do the Bonars.
Yes. The Bonars, I feel like they would. I mean, this is speaking from the Croatan from the eyes of recent settling from the newly worm coming Garo. They would probably be like, why do they hang around these humans so much that have no respect for the natural order of things? I mean, they are useful in terms of, negotiating with them, which we kind of need, but we really wish that they would have a deeper veneration for the world around them.
I think I would see the bone. I think the Croatan would probably see the Bone Nars as either either pity, not because they're the Omegas, but just because the way they kind of hold themselves, and because the majority of them they smell, they're pretty dirty,
Well,
and
yes.
Wash your
a
hands
lot of their
before you come into our cairn.
and a lot of their own kind of and a lot of their own kind of havens, not they're kind of messy. They don't know how to and the Crotons are all about cleansing and cleaning and making things you know
Make it,
have that kind of strong foundation.
yeah, making everything pretty.
Yeah,
The response I got was the Bonars are survivors. We recognize that. And we do admire their ability to adapt to urban environments. While we would never do this ourselves, we do see the value in the tribe for being a line of defense against the encroaching forces of the Weaver and the Worm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like the what is it? The digital eye response is always going to be like a very positive one. I'm noticing.
Well, given that the Croatan are very positive people.
That's true.
I think
uh,
the Croatan may have actually should have probably learned a good lesson from the bone
from the
gnawers
whole Cahokia scandal.
a long time ago, just for the fact that because the Croatan they took so much time preparing for the big fight that they would have to do against the Eater of Souls, but in the end, like there was no way they actually could have prepared for that
Yeah,
Mhm.
at all.
basically.
So basically, the only thing they really could have done is just you might as well, if you've taken a
If
page from the bone gnawers' perspective and just kind of survive and just be there when you're needed, kind
mhm.
of thing.
Current objective
Yeah,
survive.
exactly.
if we couldn't do it, let's see what you're doing, Bonars, and let's hope that you can do it better than we could.
Yeah.
Basically.
And Children of Gaia.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one.
Mommy doesn't love you as much as you thought you did. As much as you thought she did.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're probably like, wow, they're really nice people, but like, we're supposed to defend Gaia. And she literally called us and said, "Hey, we need to go to the Pure Lands to defend it." And now you're here and you're not defending it.
I could see like a very passive aggressive contest between the two of who's going to get pissed off first.
Probably the
Oh,
Croats,
you
and the
have
Croats will actually fight.
yeah, but they have 5 willpower, whereas Children of Gaia only have 4.
that, that is an excellent point. That's kind of funny.
my God smiles upon me. So
I don't know. To be
and the
honest,
complete
I think they would actually just be kind of the same, be meet eye to eye in a lot of things, except for maybe being too sexy,
Yes.
yeah, a little bit too much sex. Can you please stop making so much menace?
or at least clean up afterward.
Not on
We're
the
sick
rug,
of
Not on my
please.
bed.
this is the last time I've picked up your used condom off my carpet.
This is my bed.
But
That is your bed.
Yes.
what I, what I got with the Children of Gaia from the AI, we share a close bond with the Children of Gaia, appreciating their emphasis on unity and cooperation. They often act as mediators, the same as us, and will share many operations together. Together we strive for a harmonious existence in the united fight against the worm.
But the children of Gaia don't fight.
And anointed ones and unicorn servants don't. The patient deed and imminent strike do.
That's true.
The Children of Gaia anti-tribute, so to speak.
Yes.
And next up, the tribe that nobody likes, the Fianna.
Man, fuck you. Well, I don't know. I feel like I'd be tuning my own horn if I said anything about us. What can I say? We're just the best.
I think the Fianna would probably look at the Croatan like the same way, like as kind of as a reminder of like their own failures with the white house.
Like, get a little closer to your mic. You said that they're like a reminder of what they could be, or what
of
they
what
lost.
of what they lost, which were the White Howlers. They're kind of like their brothers.
Mhm.
Because like yeah, I guess it could be possibly like kind of I don't know.
Yeah, so Fianna's actually kind of a hard one. They'd probably like them just because they're really good at howling, and they're also a lot of fun to have around and tell great stories. But feel like that they don't really do a whole lot. It's like, yeah, you're here, you're having a good time. It's great to have you, but like, are you? It's basically, I feel like they'll think the Fianna overstay their welcome a bit.
I think I can imagine though of
Imagine.
Fianna liking this new corn thing. Can we make this into something we can drink, possibly?
Like whiskey?
Grin,
Possibly, maybe.
do you think we could do anything with this? Wait, we can put it in a tin, distill it, and it makes a drink that makes you so drunk you can't fucking walk? Sign me the fuck up!
And
And the
now
Croatan are like, what's alcohol?
you have the Fianna.
Oh, come with us,
just
we're gonna have a good fucking time.
another source of money for another The Fianna spends so much money, dude. They spend it on the Setites without knowing. They spend it on the Croatan. Spend it on the Church of Gaia for prostitution.
I just wanted a drink.
What I got was the Fianna's love of culture, storytelling, and celebration is interesting. We do focus on different values, and we would appreciate it if they would return our cairns to us.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh, look, we didn't have a home. We needed a home.
It's like,
Very patient.
Yeah,
Very
we're
patient
waiting
attitude.
for you to leave Boston, Massachusetts, so we can have our cairn back.
Well, do you want to get on a boat and come help us take Ireland back? Then maybe, yeah, we can have a full day with that.
Once again, this channel is now accepting donations for the Fianna to Africa Fund.
I didn't want to go
If
to
you would like
Africa. I want to get Ireland back.
We can send all the Fianna to Africa, and we'll send you there, and there's plenty of open space for you to run around away from all the other tribes.
Yeah, and then the Red Talons try and kill us.
With their unique African painted dogs. Yep. You wish that you would die a quick death with that. I've seen like hunting videos of African painted dogs. They don't go for the throat like a wolf does. They just maul you.
Yeah, that sucks.
They're perfectly in character with the red talons.
Yeah, so for the Fianna, it's like, hey, you guys are fun, but can we have our fucking home back?
Yeah, Mom says it's my turn on the Xbox.
Yes.
The
they would say it in that attitude, that very patient attitude.
Yeah. We're waiting for you to leave. Can you please leave? But we're not gonna grab you and do it forcibly. We're just gonna wait.
Get ephemeris. They're lethally strong, but again, can you stop taking our home?
Your thoughts, Stanson?
Let's see.
Big ephemeris, the
I
big
think
scary.
probably the same thing. Like I think they'll probably react to the get Fenris a little slowly with their violence. They'll probably would take at least maybe like the first time they attack them, they'd probably be like, huh, okay. Like I think they'll be slow to react to the violence that get a Fenris actually like. But eventually they would probably come to a very strong conclusion. Yeah, fuck these guys.
Yeah, they would
And
need
they'll
to
be stubborn in their.
They'll turn around
They'll
and
be
dig
stubborn
their
in their
heels.
decision. Oh yeah.
The response I got: the Get Ephemeris are fierce warriors, and while we do recognize that we need strength in order to fight the worm's threats, we wish the Get Ephemeris would tone it down. We appreciate martial prowess, we appreciate strength, but they tend to be too violent for their own good as a tribe.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't come into our camp. You kind of scare us. Can you please go play with the Wendigo again?
Yeah, Wendigo keep him busy.
Yeah, the Emir Sweat, after all.
Yes.
Now for the one that nobody likes for real this time, the Glasswalkers.
The Glasswalker.
Well, would they be
Good.
Would they be the Iron Riders though? Because they would never meet the Glasswalkers.
Not yet.
The Iron Riders would be cool. I guess during this time they would be the Tetrasomnians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be like, okay, this is our end in order to find out what the Weaver's up to with humans. But we feel like maybe they're getting a little too close to them for comfort, and they need to reconnect with Mother.
The response I got is, this tribe's embrace of technology and modern ideas gives us caution. We do value the ideas of philosophy, values of sociology, but we look at this tribe and you're advancing it a little too far and you're too obsessed with these ideas. We fear that they've become too closely aligned with the Weaver.
Yeah, that sounds
as
about
usual.
Right. Oh no, they're a barrel of laughs, aren't they?
We have all the fun stuff and all the fun gadgets.
Matrix shit.
Every time we die, we can just move our soul and reincarnate into a werewolf clone body sitting in a tank.
Yeah, how many times can they do that before it just straight up becomes a drone?
As long as you have a spirit, you can just keep reincarnating like that.
That's a bit of a knife edge to tread there now, isn't it?
As long as there's a 3D printer and biomass, you will never run out of glassworkers.
Dear biomass, if you didn't want a spirit to inhabit you, then why did you exist? Turning Point Glasswalker.
We will take everyone and ground you up and harvest all of your organs and your skin and your blood and then make a new body from it.
You're pretty fucked up now I'm thinking about it. Fucking
Yeah.
cyber dogs, I swear.
The transhumanist tribe.
Yeah. Anyway, so after Glasswalkers, we got
Red Talons.
Red Talons. They're
I mean,
cousins
aren't
to
they
them.
already there? Are they
Oh,
already there in the Pure Lands with them?
Yes, and they don't talk to the Red Talons because the Red Talons scared them even back then.
they're like, oh, hey, they have a deep veneration for Mother Gaia. They, try to maintain as close to her as possible. But why the fuck are you killing all of our... Why are you killing all the humans? We need those. Those are kinfolk. Calm down.
You had the Red Talons who moon-bridged over to the Pure Lands, and they looked around and said, hey, can we be fourth brother? Can we be the fourth brother? And the Wendigo said, sure, and then the Actena and Crotan said, hell no. And the Actena grabbed the Crotan, like, pulled them into a security hug away from the Red Talons.
Yep, basically, you're like, it's
Yeah.
scary. Little brother's new friend is scary. He invited
Well,
over
brother,
that kid from his fucking baseball team that got kicked off for kicking another kid in the balls.
Bro, we gotta
Bad
talk to you.
influence.
You keep talking to Psycho Pete. You keep talking to this new friend you have. Goes over to babies in carriages and screams in their faces and makes them cry. We don't want you hanging around him anymore.
Basically.
Yep.
The response I got for the Red Talons is the Red Talons' dedication to the primal existence. It does align with our reverence for Gaia, but we fear they take it too far. Our approaches differ greatly. We do share a common goal in resisting the corruption of the worm and fighting against the threats of the wilderness, but we do not share values in the extermination of humans.
Yep. The Croatan are like, hey, those are kinfolk. We need those.
Mm-hmm. And Dick and I have pointed it out. You are eventually going to run out of wolves to breed with.
Yes.
And next up, the Shadow Lords.
You fucked up everything. Get the fuck off of our land.
It's your fault everything went to shit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So,
yes.
actually had some. I was looking into the different Karens in the book, and
Yes.
this is actually I actually came across an inspirational idea for a possible kind of game or a game kind of quest. But it's there's a place called the Sept of the Bat People, and it was a Karen that was once owned by the Croatan back in the a long time ago, and it's a lost
the
cavern
way
somewhere in
back.
Virginia.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
what's
kinda
that?
Yeah,
But
the way back when.
yeah, and it lost power in the 16th century after the slaughter of the Camazots. And the bat spirit who was the totem of that Karen, went mad and shrieked, left the cave, and the cave was basically collapsed. Now,
And
there
it's
is
thanks to Shadow
in the
Lords.
now in the lore, there is a certain Shadow Lord who went on a mission into the Umbra to retrieve a proportion of bat from the worm. I think his name is Miguel Gutsa. I'll copy and paste his name actually.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, he was a Spaniard who was going in, and he brought in 9 other people with him and said, "We're going to find Bat. We're going to do a thing where we're going to see if the worm can corrupt our totems. We're going to see if we can uncorrupt the worm totems." And the story goes is that they partially succeeded. They got Bat to take like a third of his uncorrupted self off that made the good guy Bat. You have bad bat and you have good bat.
Well, at least they
Exactly.
made some progress.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I could see like some shadow lords actually possibly going into some cave expedition to try and find a lost sept. It could be a good kind of relationship with the Croatan. I don't
Little
know.
side quest there.
Though I've made it no secret on this channel that I think the whole plotline with the Kremzots was very sloppily done, given that the only book that talked about it was Shadow Lord's second edition, where that was a brand spanking new plot point that that book was introducing, written by a guy who was writing his second book by the time he was like his second book in that company by the time he made the Shadow Lord's second edition. And I we made comment over it, and we swear that the Shellers just would not have genocided the Croatan, sorry, the Camazots if they didn't have good reason to.
Yeah.
So I think like the seeds of evil was always there with the Camazots. It took their genocide for that to take off, because why would Bat's dying wish be to cause a psychic scream that would release the Eater of Souls and then potentially cause the apocalypse if he was a good guy?
Maybe.
Yeah, here
Yeah.
there's a link right there. It's
Miguel
Miguel Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Yeah, man of the cloth.
Yes,
Or
indeedy.
maybe that could be some sort of conclusion that could be brought about in a game. You never know.
Given that the worm just flew right under the noses of the Croatan in two different instances,
I mean, if,
and
yeah,
the AI response I got for the Croatan for the Shell Lords. The Shell Lords' prowess in politics and manipulation should be recognized. We appreciate their strategic mindset, but we will never agree with their methods. We recognize the importance of diplomatic finesse, but that's simply not the way we conduct things.
Yeah. So I assume this is said, prior to them going down and fucking up the antenna to the point in which it released a bane.
Oh yeah, I can see the Croatan having a grudge against the Shell Lords. Though it could wrap around to saying if it wasn't for the Shell Lords, we could have never completed our destiny.
That's
yep.
true as well.
So thank you for killing us. We got to die in an awesome way. You could also have it be if you have a game where the Crotons survived, like a few Crotons stayed around and rebuilt the tribe, they would hate the Shadow Lords, but they would look at the Children of Bat camp, where it's the Shadow Lords who are trying to feed as much power as they can into that portion of the Bat, and
Mhm.
they would be cool with them. They said, "Hey, we liked Bat back when Bat was okay. Uh, mind if we share some of that Bat worship with you?" And then they start venerating Bat with the Shadow Lords, and then that's more power to the Bat. So maybe the ratio could change from 66-33 in the worm's favor to 50-50.
Maybe.
Yeah. They could try and help bring it back, just as a way to like patch up old wounds.
And you remember the Silent Striders loved the Croatan.
Yes, the Silent
Oh, they did.
Striders, from what I recall, they loved the Croatan. They loved all their interesting stories. They thought they were an incredible tribe with great veneration for their ancestors, and they were sad to see them go, and they blamed their own pride in what they were doing for their loss. I feel like the Croatan were very much the same way for the Silent Striders. Like, these guys are kind of weird with how ghosts follow them everywhere, but they also, remind us a lot of our younger brother about how they're always chasing enigmas and discovering secrets. And we also like listening to their stories as well, because they always have new stories for us.
Hmm. Yes, you have an idea?
Um, no, I'm kind of empty on this one. Um,
It's,
it's- yeah, it's kind of hard to say because I mean the nomads that Silent Striders are. I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to say because I wouldn't say the Croatan are much the same.
Yeah,
it's
they
I
that
mean,
kind of roam a little bit.
Yeah.
The response I got is that the Silent Strider's nomadic lifestyle directly aligns with our own values. We talk constantly. We share a mutual understanding for the importance of spiritual connection and exploration. If we ever need help, the Silent Striders are the first people we call upon.
Hey, buddy friend.
All right then.
Given that these guys were as close as the Fianna were with the White Howlers, but over a much shorter span of time. You know the Croatan had to be incredible. If the Shadow...
The Silent
God, that...
Striders.
Damn it, with all these esoteric names. The Silent Striders were so distraught by the idea of the sacrifice that they refused to let them do it alone and insisted, let some of us die with you. We can't bear to part with you.
I wonder if the Octana were just kind of jealous of the attention that
The
Croatan was
Croatan were
getting from the
getting.
Silent Striders.
So they said, oh, you're sacrificing yourself too? Oh, well, let's die with you. Don't forget us.
Yeah, a little bit. It does feel like that. I mean, but like the Silent Striders is like, it's like making a best friend in your senior year of high school. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, you're at the peak of your social totem pole, and you come across this other guy who's just really fucking cool. He gels with your friend group, great. He's into the same shit as you, and then May rolls around, you graduate, you have a cool summer together, and then bam, he fucks off to the middle of nowhere for college, and you can't see him
Yeah.
anymore.
Mm.
But then this is part of the reason that I really want to play Silent Strider if we run Werewolf again. Because my
we're going to.
my next
going
plan
to.
was going to be I think I was going to make him like a Philodox Wayfarer. Because I love detectives and I love mercenaries.
We could also go with like a seeker or dispossessed.
Yeah. I want to make a Roland the Thompson Gunner werewolf. It's going to be great.
And now for the most hated of all the tribes, the Silverfangs.
I like the Silver Fangs.
You like the idea of the Silverfangs. You would hate these guys if you ever talked to them.
Basically, it's like they don't own us. Who the hell are they to tell us what we can do? Like, Gaia called us to come here and protect the Pure Lands, and they're sitting over there doing fuck all. We don't listen to them. We're in charge
Hey,
over here.
hey, they say they're kings. I mean, they must be kings for a reason, right? I mean,
They're kings because of a divine birthright that was given to them after one fight against the Beast of War, which they have decided are going to hang over their heads forever. And their atrocities include letting House Winter Snow fall, imprisoning the Fianna in Ireland, refusing to let the tribe expand or save themselves from the fall of Ireland, genociding every child of Gaia in Russia for failing to prevent the Bruja from leading the Russian Revolution, and ordered the Red Towns to do so. And along with a whole bunch of stealing credit for other people's work, such as the fall of Rome, that was clearly the Gaia Fenris, but the Silverfangs say that it took credit for all of that. And the death of Baba Yaga, you did not kill Baba Yaga, and Tuku did, and you took credit for it.
Yep. We hate the Silverfangs on this channel.
They're terrible people, but it makes for a fantastic antagonist.
Yes. Also, I do like the difference between me and Danston here. It's like an angry Croatan and a level-headed Croatan. It's like an Arun Croatan and a Phildox Croatan talking about the new tribes coming to America.
Hey, I like this new king. He's really great.
Hey, fuck that king. He doesn't own us.
look, all I'm saying is that maybe Divine Right has a be. I don't know. You never know. I'm just saying we should just not rage right away at them, you know?
Yeah, monarchy's pretty based, after all.
I mean,
You've been playing...
genocide me once, shame on you. Genocide me twice, shame on you. Genocide me 3 times. Okay, we need to have a little bit of a talk.
The response I got from AI: the Silverfangs' noble lineage and leadership isn't recognized by us. Their strict adherence to hierarchy and tradition goes against our values. Their strength and occasional collaborative efforts aren't enough to make up for what this tribe has done to us in the past.
Base digital eye gets it right.
We've got two more. The Stargazers.
Given how much I was, singing the praises of Crescent Vision, God bless the Stargazers. Their wisdom is invaluable. We would have been lost without them. Without their aid, we never would have made it to the Pure Lands. And we are brethren. God bless them.
Probably something along those lines, yeah. Probably very reserved, just like kind of the same kind of stoicism as well, and passiveness at least. But I think the only difference is that the Croatan, at the very least, would not give up something, whereas the Stargazers kind of have.
Yeah, the Stargazers do give up a lot, though.
You've lost your damn mind.
They
You
did.
hung out in your temple too long and you lost your mind. The response I got: the Stargazers' pursuit of cosmic wisdom is the opposite side of the stone from our values of the Earth. We value their discoveries of astrological symbols and augury in the stars. We frequently talk with the Stargazers, share information with each other, and come to new conclusions based on our notes.
Yep, friend. That is Fren over there. See that guy across the water in the temple? That's Fren.
Gotta get in the boat and go all the way to China just to talk to him.
Yep. Or no, we can moonbridge back over there, can't we?
Yeah. You gotta sail over to Polynesia. You gotta sail over to the South Pacific, and then use the tennis moon bridge to hop over.
Ah, that's true.
Given that there's no big Stargazer cairn anymore, so the bridge is very small.
I think you need a bigger bridge.
Gonna need a new Tibet is what we need.
Yep.
And then lastly,
there's already a cairn. Sorry, I was gonna say. There's already a camp in the Stargazers that are looking in the Umbra for something. So maybe they'll find some.
And
they'll find some Croatan.
And a few of them are still left behind in America. And yeah, you do have the Stargazers and the Church of Gaia who are both trying to figure out how do we revive the Croatan. When joke is on you, the progenitors have already done that.
So time travel.
The only issue is that if the progenitors make them, then they're not going to have any connection to their ancestors.
Yeah, exactly. You lose the gnosis and you're just an animal walking around with human intelligence.
I mean, to an extent, it's still cool, but it's not as cool as the gnosis.
The only way you can make up for it is just becoming a dream speaker mage.
Yeah, but it's still not gnosis. That's alright then. That's not gnosis.
And now for the Black Spiral Dancer. The tribe that they never met.
We've heard rumors from the Fianna that they are fleeing from a threat that was built of their own friends. And we are sad about that, but we really can't seem to do anything about that from here. Except give them a place to start when it comes to, building an army to go back and fight them. But we don't know if they're ever going to.
The response I got: we see the Black Spiral Dancers as tragic figures, corrupted by the worm. For whatever reason, their history seems to vary as to how they fell. Every time we go into battle with them, we mourn for the Black Spiral Dancers that we killed, in knowing that we couldn't save them from their fates from the hands of the worm.
Yeah, damn shame. No White Howlers.
They kind of speak as if though they were there when it happened.
Yeah, they tend to do that.
If they manage to survive. And going down the line, other supernaturals, vampires hate mages. They like wraiths. Neutral. I mean, it kind of depends on the wraith itself. Changelings they really like. Hunters, no. Demons, hell no.
Yeah, it sounds that about sums it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Farah.
The other Farah, I
Yeah.
didn't go into detail with the Farah, but they do have a cordial relationship with all the other Farah. Because the Actina did have a cordial relationship with all the Farah. That the Actina would take the tribal totems of other changing breeds as a sign of goodwill. You had plenty of Actina following raven, coyote, bear, and jaguar as totems.
Yeah, so likely
I
they'd try to do the same to some extent. They'd probably do it a lot for the girl.
Given that they really like the girl or the snuggly big boys that we wish would invite us to a slumber party more often.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I think they had actually mentioned in the book that the girl were some of the most steadfast allies in the Pure Lands.
Given that they're also the healers, and given that they cause the events of Pet Cemetery to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Don't
Ake Farslinger, died a little bit too soon, and the girl brought him back.
Hey, Grawl, our middle brother, he kind of sacrificed himself. You have that resurrection right?
It's like,
You
oh,
missed the
sure.
Croatan, right?
see. Well, let's roll the Gaia Magic 8 Ball to see if we can do it. Okay, Gaia, can we revive the tribe? It says no. Okay, let's put that away. Let's not ask it again. The girl will have great powers, but damn it, you guys do nothing without consulting Gaia first.
No, I mean, it's a precarious sort of energy to use.
Gotta
Just
ask
gotta
Mom
follow.
first.
Gotta follow the wild to have a giant plant monster grow out the guy's corpse.
Hey, girl, can you use your cool resurrection magic to save my friend's life? I have to ask my mom.
It really is the case with the girl. Good God, these guys. You wonder why you got your ass beat by the Red Talons.
I mean, the girl didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Hashtag girl did nothing wrong.
Exactly, they're sweet little cinnamon rolls.
They're our friends. And hopefully I can come across one in the New York game and I can take them back to the Scepter Rip Van Winkle and we can all be friends.
I have been doing a lot of chatting. Let me get some water in me. Kyle, you go into your favorite time of the episode, the gifts.
Yes, time to talk about gifts, and we got quite a few of them. So let's see what we got here. So we're gonna start with the first one. We were talking about this one earlier, and I have a soft spot in tabletop games for being able to cook a delicious meal for the rest of your party. So this rank 1 here is called Cookfire. It's a rank 1 Croatan gift. The Garrow can turn raw, unprocessed food into a cooked meal without need of fire. In addition, the meal tastes first class. This gift is taught by Earth Spirits allied to Corn Maiden. System. The player must make a Gnosis roll at difficulty 7. The more successes, the more elaborate the final meal. This gift cannot add any food that isn't already present. It cannot spice food if the Garrow has no spices handy, for instance. But it can turn unripe corn on the cob into cakes, or a fish that hasn't been cleaned into a neatly scaled, gutted, boned, and cooked meal. I love cooking for my friends. It's such a nice thing to do, and I love Cookfire for letting me be able to cook for my friends.
Just instant blue flame.
You know what? I could actually see like kind of a mini side quest for like maybe a Fianna who found like an old recipe that once a Croatan actually cooked, and he is like just scouring all the different components and trying to get the taste right, getting the spices right, but he just can't seem to find it.
Yep. Meanwhile, he needs to find an earth spirit and learn Cookfire in order to make it right.
Exactly.
I've read the old Croatan spirit for corn hash, and I'm trying to get the American corn hash beef started, but I can't get the recipe right.
I talked to the Wendigo, they didn't know nothing. I talked to the Octana, they told me to fuck off. Look, I just want to make a really good corn cake. Fuck.
No, but all I have for lunch every day at work is corn hash beef. A sandwich.
That's a damn shame. All I want is a good cornmeal. Fuck. Okay. Rank 2. Do I want to do that one or do I want to do a different one? Oh, no, I want to do this one. Turtle Shell, a rank 2 Croatan gift. Remember what we said about Turtle being a defensive totem? So, by calling upon Turtle, the Croatan can seal himself in a mystic protective shield that resembles a turtle's shell. The shell is opaque from the outside, but on the inside can see through it. The werewolf can opt to bring others into the shell with him if his power is sufficient. The gift is taught by a turtle spirit. System. The player spends 1 Gnosis point and rolls stamina and survival at difficulty 7. Each success gives the shell 2 soak dice and 2 effective health levels. The radius enclosed in the protective bubble is 2 yards per success. A Krynos form werewolf requires about a 2-yard radius, so with 2 successes, 2 werewolves in Krynos form, or 3 humans in Hamid form, or 3 humans, or Hamid form Garrow, or so on, at the storyteller's discretion, could be protected. The shell lasts for 1 scene until broken, either by the Croatan's will or by taking damage, whichever comes first. When dismissed or broken, the shell shatters into pieces that dissolve like so much mist. Yeah. So basically, you have a free 2 extra levels of armor and 2 soak dice. Yeah, just from 1 point of Gnosis and stamina and survival. And you can make it as big as you need with difficulty 7. So, yeah, if you want to defend your friends, get a turtle shell.
Just
Turtle time.
pop up this shield.
Yes, it does the opposite of a Mario shield, or of a Mario shell.
You're saying, Dancing?
I was just saying, like, turtle power.
Yes. Let's see. I don't see
The
any.
all
There we
TMNT
go.
campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
They only. This is the only rank 3 Croatan gift I'm seeing. Gift of Plenty. So, this is a rank 3 Croatan gift. Fertility spirits beholden to the Corn Maiden teach this gift, by which a single chosen object can be multiplied into many duplicate objects. In this way, a warrior can make several arrows from 1 prototype arrow, or bullets from a single bullet. Any object with spiritual power, such as a fetish, cannot be duplicated. Anything else from $20 bills to food can be multiplied using this gift. System. The player spends 1 Gnosis point and rolls Charisma and Crafts at difficulty 7. The number of successes determines the number of objects, including the original, that result. 2 successes will create 1 extra duplicate item. 4 successes will create 3, and so on. Duplicating precious metals or rare ritual components requires an expenditure of 2 Gnosis points. Rare gems or materials such as plutonium, 3 Gnosis points. The newly created objects will only last for 24 hours before vanishing. The effects of using the item remain, however, so any food that was eaten is still digested. Damage caused by created weapons still must be healed, and items bought with the money still exist, and so on. So basically, like, hey, I only have $20 and I need and I need 40 to buy these pizzas. Boom, $40.
So, it sounds like a very biblical kind of gift.
Yes.
Like, didn't Jesus kind of feed a whole bunch of people with only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread? How did that happen?
Exactly that.
It's a miracle.
He tore off a microscopic piece that was so small and then placed it onto the tongue of everybody that came past. And then that was enough nourishment to instantly fill the stomach.
It was a miracle. It's a very calorie-dense bread that Jesus made.
Mm-hmm. It's like the calorie paste from 40K. You just squeeze that into your mouth as a normal person. It automatically kills you from insulin shock.
So wait, so you just duplicate the food that you give to the enemy, and they just blow up and get full.
It's like in the beginning of Method Man when they're talking about torture. It's like, I'll sew your asshole clothes to keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you.
That also like begs the question, like a unique way to kill somebody as the Croatan. Is that using this gift as you're force feeding them?
It's like,
Have all of the donuts in the world.
you just shove an ear of corn into somebody's face and then cast Gift of Plenty and they just explode. You're like, oh, how did you kill him? With kindness. With kindness.
If you're fighting a
Explosive
burger
popcorn in
man,
the air.
It's like the end of Real Genius.
If you're fighting a Burger Man, this would be a fantastic, ironic way to kill that for Mori.
That'd be really funny.
Poetic justice, indeed.
Oh, okay. Okay. I need a rank 4. We talked about that earlier, but I kind of want to look for something a little bit fancier. And
Why
I know
you cover your body in the earth and shell?
Hmm. I think I might. Or actually, this one's kind of neat. Hand of the Earth Lords. This is a rank 4 Octena gift and also a rank 4 Croatan gift. By drawing on the land's energies, Croatan may move any object weighing up to 1,000 pounds telekinetically. An air elemental and an earth elemental must teach this gift in concert. System. The player spends 1 Gnosis point and rolls Dexterity and Occult at difficulty 7. The Croatan must maintain concentration in order to move the object, which travels at roughly 20 miles per hour. The effect lasts for 1 turn per success. You could pick up a giant 1,000-pound rock and throw it at somebody at 20 miles an hour. That's fucking tight. Of course, getting an air elemental and earth elemental together would probably be a little difficult.
I think it would just slide on the earth, like slide on the ground as you move it.
Oh, that's true.
Out-
But still, being
Yeah.
able to move like up to 1,000 pounds at 20 miles an hour would hurt like a motherfucker. Or you could just roll it over on top of somebody.
You do like a little bug spotting where you grab the asphalt off the street, pick it up, flick it, and then it sends a shockwave across the ground.
Basically, yeah.
So it's like changing the dreaming powers.
Yep.
I guess you could say he got his asphalt whooped.
God damn it. Danston came armed with puns.
Yeah, this is a Ryan joke.
Yes, it is. He would have a whale of a time talking to you. Do I want to do that or do I want to do that? Well, I don't know. That's a Bonar's gift as well. Oh, this is interesting. Wall of Granite. This is a rank 5 Philodox gift and a rank 5 Croatan gift.
I know what you're talking about. This one's overpowered.
Yes. Philodox have a stronger relationship with the elementals of the earth than do the other werewolves. For just as the earth upholds those upon it, the Philodox upholds their people's ways. While in contact with the earth or rock, the Philodox can invoke a wall to protect himself. This wall will move with the Garrow, defending him from all angles. Earth elementals teach this gift. System. The Garrow spends one Gnosis point. The wall's dimensions are 3 yards high, 2 yards long, and 1 yard thick. It has a soak pool of 10 dice, and 15 health levels must be inflicted to penetrate it at any point. The wall lasts for 1 scene or until released into the earth by the Garrow. Yeah? Yeah?
And there we have it. He's been interrupted by somebody off camera.
Yeah, sorry. What's up?
As we just read, behold, wallets stoned from D&D, and you can just pop that up. But because of how damage scaling works in this game, you can't knock that wall down in 1 turn. And behold, you can just pop this up. And this wall of Grant can just shoot up from anywhere. As long as there's earth beneath you, you can just do that.
Hey, what rank of Philodox is Wrath of the Storm?
He is rank 4.
Damn it!
1 away.
Maybe
buy
if
a wall.
I can get him to
Could be
kill
very good
Vigo,
wall.
then maybe he'll get to rank 5 and I can find him an Earth Elemental.
You got all the people on the southern border trying to build that wall.
And we're gonna make the Croatan build it.
Yeah.
And it'll be, and they don't have to pay for it. It'll be free.
Yeah. I don't think there's a rank 6 Croatan gift as far to my knowledge, so I think
I don't
that
think so
about does
either.
it for gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And we have rites. We have a rite in here that is known as the rite of washing the spirit, which is the exact same rite as rite of cleansing. They just changed the name.
Yes. Where did I put that?
I am
that's
going
the
to at
death
you in the Discord
crafting.
server that we have.
Yeah, you sent me the thing, but I think I missed that page. I don't know why. That's Rite of Death Crafting.
Yeah.
Where's...
Yeah, right of death crafting, right of raise the sun, rights to the God, what's that word? Potluck?
Wait, hang on, is that like half of the, is that supposed to be the one that's like above Rite of Death Crafting?
Yeah, I gave like a cropped out one, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, right of death crafting is where it starts.
All right, so washing the spirit. When consumed as a part of this rite, the black drink only purges as it is meant to do, ensures that all words spoken for the next step. Wait, is that right?
You're reading right of the black drink.
Yeah, that's right of the black drink. Where the hell is right of the spirit cleansing?
Right of the spirit cleansing. The right of the spirit cleansing, that is the exact same thing as the right of cleansing. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, so
Oh,
just
where's washing the
because
spirit at then?
washing that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the black. Wait, hold up.
Yeah, they renamed the rite of cleansing, and then that's it.
But no, there isn't. There's the rite of the black drink, but I'm not seeing the rite of washing the spirit.
The rite of the black drink, I didn't send you that page because we already know what the rite of cleansing does.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I don't need to read that one then.
Yeah, and the rite of the black drink is an Actina gift that they reposted in here.
Oh, all right. So
to give you an explanation, I didn't send Kyle the whole book. I sent him the pages that had the mechanics on them.
Yes,
and I cropped out the ones that had the rite of cleansing and the rite of the black drink, where we've already gone over the rite of the black drink before.
All right. If that's the case, then I will start simple with just like the rite of potlatch, just a rite of, which is a rite of renown. So
yes.
This rite enjoys its greatest popularity among the Wendigo and Croatan, although Actina sometimes practices it as well, particularly in areas where multiple tribes share common kinfolk. It's most commonly used to commemorate a rise in rank. Garrow also performed this rite to make other significant occasions, such as a change in pack or sept leader, or a particularly glorious deed. The system. The Garrow enacting this rite announces their intention to other sept members at least 10 days before the actual performance. Preparation for the rite includes gathering together a bounty of food and making or acquiring sufficient gifts for the attendees. The page is kind of blurry. The actual rite consists of hosting a feast, giving gifts, which may include fetishes or talents, to all who attend and entertaining them with stories, songs, and dances. Although this rite benefits a single Garrow, their pack usually participates in the preparation and performance of the rite. 3 successes on charisma and etiquette roll guarantees a successful potlatch. Fewer successes means that although the Garrow's rise in rank or attainment of a position of leadership is accepted, the Garrow must offer some other tangible proof of their worthiness to receive the honor they have been celebrated. In addition, the Rite Master gains 1 die bonus roll on all social rolls when interacting with participants for the following year.
Kyle.
Yes.
Kyle, I think this is just a potluck supper.
Yes, it is.
I think it just is just having a meal, and that's it.
It is. It's literally have your family over for dinner and talk about how you got the promotion.
There's always that one family member that brings way too much macaroni salad or potato salad, and there's just so much of it left over.
I mean,
put too much mayonnaise in the recipe, and it spoils the food.
I usually eat it all anyway because I'm a sucker for pasta salad. Like I can't get enough. I don't know why.
And then you put pickles in the egg salad.
I do not actually.
Yeah.
Like pickles in the egg salad is an affront to God, and I will fight you on that. Okay.
At least one person brought the lasagna soup, and then that's the one good thing about this potluck.
What is it with you and the lasagna soup? Explain this
that
to
was
me.
That was a delicious soup that I managed to have at work dinner one time.
Oh, okay. Because I remember that was a joke when we did Spelljammer a while ago. And I was
we
like,
got to have lasagna soup.
Yeah, we had like a monkey that was a chef on the ship, and he always made lasagna soup.
It's the best thing you could have made.
Okay, so level 2 rite, song of the rite of the song duel. All right, I'm already on board with this. This rite enables the settling of feuds without resorting to bloodshed. Although Garrow may use this ceremony to resolve differences between themselves, it is more commonly used on behalf of warring kinfolk. System. The participants in the rite take turns deriding their opponent through insulting songs accompanied by appropriate dance movements. After one party has completed his song, the other participant has the right to respond in an attempt to best his dueling partner. The rite ends when one of the duelers fails to reply with more insulting or demeaning song than his rival. No roll is necessary, since the rite should be simulated through role-playing, with the storyteller as the final arbiter who gains the victory. The loser loses 1 point of temporary glory from their renown score. If done on behalf of their kinfolk rather than themselves, the Garrow loses any influence they have over particular individuals for 1 month. That's fucking hilarious.
A right of the diss track.
Yes, it is the
the
right
right
of the
of the rap
diss
battle.
track.
Yeah.
That is funny as shit. I love that.
I mean, I'm actually surprised like that this right is in this book. I mean,
Mhm.
shouldn't that be in like the in the core
Children
book?
of Gaia.
Yeah, that should be. I feel like the Fianna should have that. I mean, the Fianna are
Yeah.
known for their song. They should be able
Gif,
to.
Fenris,
Yeah, even like
Bonars.
the Viking like lore, they actually had something similar to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
boast.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The Bonars, they already have Hootenanny, and that's a gift. So
It's just country music instead of rap.
that's true. I don't know. You get Zach De La Roca for like right of the song duel, and he just starts singing Rage Against the Machine.
And then the Bonars tell you to try that in a small town.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do one of the mystic. I'm gonna do Rite of Death crafting. Just because I got it all here. Okay, so this is a mystic rite. It's a level 5. We skipped a lot because missing a couple of pages here. When an enemy has quickened a deep and all-consuming rage for vengeance with the heart of a Garrow, that werewolf may choose to fashion a ritual weapon to be used for only one purpose: the death of a hated foe. The weapon must be fashioned over the course of a complete cycle of the moon, or 1 month, while concentrating upon the one that it is intended to slay. The weapon must either incorporate some object previously taken from the foe, or a drop of blood and the tears of the maker brought forth under the full moon. During the rite proper, the Garrow calls forth the spirit of vengeance, which enters the weapon, which becomes imbued with the power to slay the one who truly wronged him. A deserving enemy is struck down by even the slightest blow or scratch, but if the foe has not truly harmed the Garrow, the weapon inflicts only normal damage. System. Creating the weapon of vengeance requires the Garrow to spend 1 point of Gnosis and make dexterity and crafts roll at difficulty 7. During the month in which the weapon is constructed, the Garrow can do nothing else strenuous that takes him away from the cairn, nor can he leave his work to return later. If the attempt to create the weapon fails, another month must be spent to repeat the crafting. The rite itself is performed once the weapon is completed. The weapon inflicts 10 health levels of aggravated damage, but only against the intended target. Once the weapon has struck the Garrow's enemy, it shatters, wounding the Slayer for 2 aggravated health levels, as he has allowed vengeance to so rule his path. If the enemy dies from the blow, as it is likely, her spirit is ravaged by agonizing pain at the time of death. That's honestly really fucking cool. And I really wish you could have that in other fucking werewolves.
I mean, it's a lot of work for that amount of damage.
It is.
But
Yeah.
just make sure you don't miss.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can. It won't like break automatically. Like it'll hurt you a little bit after you do the weapon. Like it'll do 2 aggravated damage to you, just for letting hate rule your heart. But still, 10 levels of aggravated damage, that'll fuck somebody up.
Mhm.
And compare that to a Wendigo gift. I believe it's something along the lines of like Helios' spear that does the same amount of damage, where it's a laser they summon from the sun and then channel with ice mirrors to fire the laser. They definitely didn't copy from the technocracy. So, is it me, or do all 3 Pure Land tribes have one power that's super scary?
I mean, they all need one. They have to defend the Pure Lands.
You only need the one because it's
Yes.
so strong you don't mess with them after that.
I only need to hit you once, Dex Nerd.
And should we talk about what's it on here? The boat song?
It should be.
What about the green corn? The right of the
Or
green
the green corn?
I mean, I could do that one too if you
We
want.
have blue corn, red corn.
This rite, unlike many Garo powers, is meant to mainly benefit the kinfolk. When performed in a certain area, it causes the ground to become more fertile, to produce more food, and to feed more animals for its bounty. In a seasonal rite performed just before the planting time, it ensures the maximum yield of corn. Now, the system, what you're going to do here is the performing this rite is going to go to the land that's going to be blessed. It's going to shifting corn pollen onto the ground. Once it's been planted, she's going to roll Charisma plus Rituals difficulty 6 to call forth the friendly spirits to nourish the land. The storyteller decides just how much the corn's going to yield after doing this, and how much food is going to be produced, and won't have any additional nutritional value depending on how many successes you manage to get. There is a degenerate version of this practiced by some modern-day descendants of the Croatan who have lost all bloodline but not their tradition. These backcountry folk have interpreted the water that this supposed to be blood instead of just water like this right was supposed to be, which is dangerous for business, and investors and strangers don't like seeing bloody corn. Don't you do that?
So it's a rain dance, and now it's something that Fomori families will use in order to, lure people into Resident Evil 7 situations.
Yeah, that's how you corrupt the Croatan kinfolk right there.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. I mean, like there was that whole story about Corn Woman and putting blood on the corn.
They mistook it. It's supposed to be the worm's blood, not Joe Schmuckatelli on the street, who you kidnapped and murdered and then spilled his blood into your farm.
But we ran out of worms to fertilize it with.
There's always worms. You just aren't looking hard enough.
That's true. I got lazy. It's fine. So did you want me to read the boat song or no?
I'll do the boat song.
Okay, so it's very short. It's a minor rite. As the name implies, this minor rite takes the form of a short song used to keep a boat from running aground or getting tossed in rapids while on its journey. No one aboard gets seasick, and the boat makes good time regardless of the weather. System. If the Garo performs this rite each time before he gets into a boat for a full month, he and everyone in the boat gains 2 dice to their boating skill, even if inexperienced. However, failure to perform the boat song before boarding a boat revokes the blessing and the Garo must begin anew. Basically, you sing for good weather.
And you're going to be in that boat for a while.
That's kind of funny.
I mean, now what defines a boat here?
Like a canoe.
A tree that you have pushed over, hollowed out, and then have climbed inside of.
A barrel. A raft.
There we go. The barrel song. You've seen this song as you go over Niagara Falls.
Yep. And
amazing.
Start singing Excursion Around the Bay by Great Big Sea.
And should we do Confederacy?
Confederacy. Well, yeah, may as well.
Should we secede from the Union?
Yeah, why not? I can do that. So, Confederacy, another minor rite. This rite is performed before peaceful meetings between different tribes. The Garo involved in the meeting must recite specific oaths as part of the rite. The oaths are short and simple and formed as a command. Quote, none here shall raise claw against another, end quote, and also, quote, each swears to defend the honor of the other, quote, and no lie shall pass our lips, so on and so forth. System. All the participants in a meeting must perform this rite just before the talks start. If all do so, it becomes more difficult for them to frenzy as a reaction to one another's actions. 1 extra success on a rage roll is required for so long as all adhere to the oath. If broken by a single member, though, the pact is void. So basically, it's like, okay, we're all here we're going to sit down for a serious discussion. Nobody get mad. Nobody lie to each other. That's all you really need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
the
it's yes,
Canadian Confederacy is actually different from American Confederacy.
Yes.
exactly that. It's that we're not going to secede from the Union and talk about how Abraham Lincoln was the worst president ever made.
It's basically that.
It's more of just like Confederacy is just the idea of getting all the provinces together, including you, Quebec.
Yeah.
There you
We know
go.
you want to be. We know you want to be your own thing. We know you want your own currency, but just stop taking money from us.
We know you want to be France, but you're not France. Come sit down at the table.
This is the Croatan who managed to steal $11 billion worth of maple syrup and is now selling it to Japan.
Yes.
There actually is a maple syrup black market in Canada.
That doesn't
Like,
surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, I
mafia.
looked into that. Like a lot of people say, like the Canadian maple syrup industry is like a mafia that
It
just
is a
demands
mafia,
complete
yeah.
control of your orchard.
If you ever
Uh,
go to Canada to get maple syrup, the best kind is in the cans.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather just go to Vermont. It's a little closer.
Yeah,
It's the same elevation. We're fine.
I
And
mean, you guys kind of have the same accent, right? So
In Vermont, yeah, they're pretty close.
further north you go.
Yep.
Yep.
Anyway, so what
We
else?
now the final portion of the video. Um, we could do fetishes, but fetishes have always been the least interesting part of Werewolf to me, and I've always encouraged, build your own fetish instead of using some pre-generated ones.
Yeah, the
And
fetish guides in the books are more so for you to get ideas.
like the fetishes in here are like, oh, we got a feather, here's a knife, here's a claw, and that's about it. There's one in here that's kind of interesting, like the story knife, where that's a
Yeah.
level 2 gift. You roll 4 points of gnosis every time you stab with it. So it's like you roll 4d10 when using it, and it's a knife where it's got a story carved into the handle, and that's it really.
That is kind of neat, though. I like the concept of that.
Yeah.
so it
See,
just tells a story of how it stabbed something.
Yes.
I thought
Here's
it
a
was more like a talking stick. Like, I have the story
Oh,
knife.
okay.
Nobody else can use the story knife while I'm talking.
Is that I have the story knife and I'm going to stab it into your chest, and after I do that, you can start talking.
Yeah, it's basically a more violent version of this meme that I'm about to post. There we go. It's this one right here. Shut the fuck up. You don't have the talking stick. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah, we're going to a D&D game where those are on the table.
What, the talking stick?
Yeah. We have particularly deceptive players and you have to use the talking stick at the table.
That's funny. Okay, so
We now
go ahead.
talk about the hypothetical, if the Crotan were alive today, what would it look like? So,
Oh, man.
hypothetical scenario. Thought about this. And the idea that I came to is if the Crotan found a way to avoid this. The Ectena reached the Crotan and said, wait a minute, you don't need to sacrifice the whole tribe. Well, you do need to sacrifice some members, but here we go. And they reach into the big bag of Ectena characters. They pull up a Dream Speaker Archmage and drop him on the table and say, here's this wizard. We've told him about what needs to happen. He's got this big spell prepared. He's been preparing it for 2 months. And it's going to solve this Eater of Soul problem for you. You're going to lose half your numbers, but it's going to stop the Eater of Souls. And by using the Archmagic instead, it seals the Eater of Souls. Granted, they still don't know where the wizard and the tribesmen are. So the Crotons survive. Half the number is around, and of course they eventually lose the Pure Lands. They're subjected to a Trail of Tears and constantly moved from land again and again and again until they're pushed all the way over to California. But not all is lost. Now, you mentioned before, Danston, the Iron Riders.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to remember. What was this movie called? Lone Ranger. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he had like a little. He had a companion that Johnny Depp
Yeah,
played in the movie.
Tonto.
Tonto, yeah.
Now, imagine games like that where you look at stuff like uh, an old Western movie where it's the incompetent cowboy and then the super competent Native American who's helping them throughout the entire quest. I mean, we see that with the Nuisha, where the Nuisha were going around and having the time of their life during the Wild West because they were getting to play all these deadly pranks on all these people who wanted gold and oil.
Yeah,
Hmm.
basically. Or you can make it extra dark and do Cormac McCarthy and do some Cormac McCarthy shit with that.
You can
So,
also have the you can also have them bounce back. After all, Savage Worlds Deadlands, that is a Wild West RPG that's TTRPG where the Native Americans are in it, and there's the Sioux Nation who had the genius idea of hoarding every single bison and buffalo and just migrating them all the way over to the coast and then put a giant wall around them and said, "You want any bison, you gotta pay us for it." And then pretty much did what China did with all the pandas, saying, "We own all the bison, and if you want anything from us that's bison related, you have to pay out the nose for it." You can have the Croatan do that.
I mean, the Croatan are always about like maintaining the balance, and like after watching the buffalo nearly get hunted to extinction for the railroads, they're like, okay, we need to defend the fucking bison at all costs.
There's one awesome side quest in Red Dead Redemption 2 that Charles leads you on, and it's a guy who's been poaching bison just for sport, and you end up finding him, and you have the option of killing him instead. You can capture him or kill him, and you can have missions like that with the Croatan. And after all, this is the Iron Riders, when the Iron Riders were everywhere in the Wild West. And this would be the one and only time the Croatan and the Glossworkers would be cordial with each other. And that would make a fantastic pairing. The Croatan want these guys out of the West Coast. The Iron Riders are doing whatever the hell they want because they're high off their mind on coal fumes coming out of the steam locomotive. And they have guns to spare. So go nuts.
And Casey the engineer and a couple of very, very angry Croatan.
And going into 1940s, you remember the Navajo code talkers during World War II.
Yeah, that'd be pretty neat.
Have this be Croatan.
Yeah.
After all, you have the secret language that you've passed on and on and on that nobody else knows, and the Japanese can't crack the code.
Yep. And I
And
mean,
then
you have Turtle
after
as your totem, so you're going to have a lot of good aquatic powers.
you have trout, so you're not going to drown the minute you fall into water.
Yeah.
And have a few Croatans stay behind, look over at Japan and say, "Hey, this place is pretty corrupted after Hideki Tojo ran this entire country to the ground. Let's stay behind. Let's fix this place." And behold, they start making friends with the Shadow Lords, the Hakin, who are living there.
I mean, yeah. I feel like alt history where Croatan lived would honestly be a lot more interesting. And also the Wendigo might actually be willing to fucking talk to somebody.
Well, the Wendigo would still be pissy as usual because they're the ultra nationalist xenophobes who want to build the giant Nunavut ice castle and then live in that forever and watch everyone else die as they hang out in their castle.
Well, yeah, but even still, with the Croatan around, it'd make dealing with them a lot easier. They probably wouldn't
Yeah,
want to kill the Fianna as much.
Yeah, because the Wendigo would still talk to the Croatan. They wouldn't be super close, but yeah, they would still talk. Not
Bro,
when the Red
come out
Talons
here
are
and
around,
help us
though.
fight. Come out here and help us fight the worm. We still got a guy to defend. No, not coming out.
And you have your scary Red Talon friend who's the bad influence on your little brother.
Yeah, they still
And
want to be in for an easy time.
and Danston, you saw this when I was writing the 3.5 project, the Dakota pipeline, where let's build this massive polluting pipeline in the middle of this land. And the massive protests led by Native Americans to get that project shut down and prevent, a possible natural disaster from happening on their land. Same with the Keystone Pipeline, and same with pretty much like any scenario in history where the government has tried screwing over the Native American population.
A good old little clear cut, Garrow versus Enron.
And after all, you can also have these some chronicles, if you broadcast them, talk about some much needed social issues. Like, I don't know, the amount of Native Americans that have gone missing in America and nobody has ever looked into them.
Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah. If a Native American gets captured, it's less likely to be investigated compared to a white person or a black person who's been captured.
That's
Or
mega
kidnapped.
fucked up.
Yeah. The racial bias involved in it.
It's also
Dance and move closer to the mic.
Yeah, it is.
so,
Get closer to your mic.
sorry.
It's all good.
Like I've also I've read a couple. Actually, read a book in high school. It's called April Rain Tree, and it was about this. It was about these two First Nation girls, and
Hmm.
I think it was in Saskatchewan, but they got basically their parents ended up being alcohol were not able to look after them because they were alcoholics and they were adopted by white parents that just basically made them like slaves.
Hmm.
And they were just like, and this was like back in the 1930s, 40s, and it basically just depicted the lifestyle of like what they had to kind of go through at the time, where like they weren't they were kind of treated as second class citizens. It was like it was a horrible hit. It was a horrible thing.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's fucked up.
It's like when you read the book that inspired the Girl Next Door movie.
Hmm.
And going along the lines, where could you end up adapting the Croatan? How would they react to the life around them? Would the Croatan still want to hang on to that gardener mindset of Gaia's favorite child? Or would they start looking at the writing on the wall and say, we need to start adapting, we need to start changing our ways in order to survive in this weaver infested, worm infected America? And the Croatan portrait in W20 is a Croatan brave holding a gun to his chest as he's drawing a circle. What if you had that, where the Croatan begin to realize maybe we need to start adopting some Weaver ideas and learn what the Weaver is in order to better understand and combat the Weaver the minute it reaches out too far?
Yeah, that'd be a pretty neat concept, and also I feel like that's where you would see a lot of the formation of Croatan camps at that point. You would have those that would try to maintain the idea of the gardener. It's like, okay, we've lost a lot of land, but we still have some spots. Let's do what Turtle would do: dig our heels, put the shell up, and make sure that nobody can touch this land. And then you would have other Croatan that would say, okay, it's not enough to dig our heels and hold and bare our teeth. We need to go in there and start doing damage to the worm and the weaver if we want to hope are saving our land. And I feel like that's where you get two of the main camps of the Croatan in modern times.
You look at
So,
camps
Go
too.
ahead.
so what's the carbon copies of like of the Octana? It's basically Shadow Lords, but they do it better. Or the Wendigo, and the Get Fenris. They're basically almost nearly the same thing. They're the warrior tribe. For the Croatan, it's the children of Gaia.
Yeah, kind of.
It's
So,
it's the children of Gaia, except the children of Gaia aren't. These are children of Gaia who aren't huffing in the fumes of their own farts
pretty
and
much.
getting high off of their own ideas.
So what happens if there's like a possible alliance of Shadow Lords, Get Fenris, and Children of Gaia going after the pure tribes?
That'd be fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Garrow would collapse in on itself in a fight like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
the Fenris, if they secede from the Garo Nation, it's all over.
pretty much.
I mean, I don't think they are
This,
because they can kind of just do whatever the fuck they want.
and the Shell Lords and Children of Gaia, we could survive without.
Yep. I would say though that like I think Croatan would actually be able to adapt very well to the fight against the apocalypse and the worm, much better than how like their other sibling tribes have kind of been adapting, I think,
Given that
because
they
they're
can
just
build structures to fortify themselves.
Yes.
yeah.
Like, the Wendigo are still strong as far as, like, their abilities go, but they don't have a whole lot aside from the None of It Nation itself. The Uktena, as we talked about in the Uktena video, actually have quite a huge spread of, of ready and able kinfolk, but are indeed a bit too buried into their mysteries and their enigmas in order to really, take out and strike at something that matters.
Yeah, too
dabble
buried
too
in
much
their
into
own
the dark arts.
Yes.
Yeah, the dabbling with different sorceries, along with their resentment for anyone who isn't them.
Yeah.
Where the Croatan wanted to help people, the Uktena are helping themselves.
Basically, yeah. So you'd have a much more benevolent Pure Lander from the Croatan.
Mm-hmm. You would have a little bit more hope in the world of darkness.
Yeah. So if you want a more uplifting setting, include the Croatan in your. You may do the alt history. Give us a couple of Croatan to work with.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're looking for character ideas, I've been telling Kyle again and again about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and they have one character in there that is fantastic. Part 7 has Sandman in it, where he is a guy who's got this superhuman ability to keep up with horses moving at full speed while he's barefoot running. And he's a guy who's looking at the race going on, the Steel Ball Run race, and says, I'm going to enter this race with no horse, when on foot, and then I'm going to use the money I have to start buying land back from the American government to try to build a micronation of Native Americans that will slowly snowball into us taking back America entirely.
I know I may have to compete with a Silent Strider, though.
Yeah, I compete with the Silent Strider.
I mean,
it's going to be who's going to get their land back first, the Silent Striders or the Croatan.
It's like a friendly rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, either way,
I'm going to be the best. Good for you, man.
Well,
I'm going to be the best too.
Yeah. Well, think about it. If the Silent Striders manage to get their home back, like, that's already some. Granted, the Silent Striders don't really take Karens all that much, not like the Get a Ferris the Fianna did. But still, it's like
they've forgotten how to take care of Karens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of a loss to them.
Well, yeah, they're still struck by Set's curse, so.
You can have the Silent Striders pay the Croatan, say, could you please go to Egypt for us and fight the Setites?
Basically, the only issue is that they wouldn't know damn the Heart Flood.
Yeah, and it's going to clog up Serpentis and Obfuscate. Not Presence, though. Just don't look at the vampire. Don't hear his words.
Well, if you're in a blind or rage, you probably can't hear all much of anything.
Treat it like it's Medusa that you're fighting.
Yep, just look in the mirror.
All right. And
plenty corn pop.
Yes.
Crit the corn bomb.
Yes. They'll never see it coming.
And I am out of ideas. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I honestly really like the idea of the alt history, Croatan survival story. I mean, I think the Croatan have some potential. I know they seemed like a slightly weaker plot point. It's like on the like the list of plot points that happen to the Garo Nation, like the Black Spiral Dancers, Croatan, Camazotz. I think the Croatan are kind of in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I feel like they have some potential if you wanted to do an alt history. And I highly recommend it because the Croatan have some really neat gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And also World Turtle, we love World Turtle. We stand World Turtle on this channel.
Absolutely. Please come home one day.
Yes.
Well, would you play an apocalypse game with the apocalypse happening?
You could do that, yes. You could use the Time of Judgment's apocalypse.
Exactly. And there's always going. It does say that a lost tribe will return. It could just be the Croatan. So.
Well, it depends.
Simply.
We have the choice of 3 lost tribes. Which one is it going to be?
Exactly. It's up to you. But yeah, like there's you could always just have an alternate history, or even just time travel.
Well, yeah, we do.
It's up to you.
Do Void Engineers do that?
You, really?
Void Engineers specialize in correspondence.
Okay, so no.
They teleport. and cause other people to teleport. The people
Well,
you want to go to are the Cult of Ecstasy.
well, I guess
That's true.
my idea of time travel is different, is what I was trying to say. Instead of
Yeah.
actually going back in time, rather, what if there were Croatan that were frozen in time and never had a chance to actually take part of the ritual?
Yeah, they were taken
Yeah,
by Gural and forced into a Gural hibernation.
we asked them when they go to freeze a solid, and then they did.
We had no idea
So
why, but if we
I'm
did.
I'm not really sure where I wanted to bring this up as well, but there's also another First Nation tribe that mysteriously disappeared as well, called the
Hmm.
Anazia, and they were the people around the southwestern Majaho Desert in the southwestern United States.
Right.
If you ever go to and there's like if you ever go to say Valley Fire National Park, there's actually even like glyphs of their act of of their people that were actually that we're still trying to decipher, they but
There's
like
still
no
artifacts there.
there's still
Hmm.
artifacts there, and nobody knows what happened to them.
Yeah. So that
Like,
could be something to discover.
Hmm.
well, here's the thing. So if there's a tribe of Wendigo, that's wind, Croatan, earth, and Octana, water, where's the fire? You know,
That's
This
an
hidden fourth brother that we don't talk about.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting little. Unless the fire's the red talons, at which point
I was thinking, what if it was the Nuwisha?
Oh, you the
The
were
the notion,
coyotes?
yeah, the diet soda wolf that all three of us mutually hate.
I don't know. They're funny. They're funny little
Well,
guys.
they're the tricksters, but I mean, is but much like other tricksters, fire kind of is associated with them, kind of like Loki is associated with fire, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Shiva.
it does say that it did read in the book that it said that Newisha bred with the very strongly with the Anazia people, and
Mhm.
maybe Coyote had something to do with their disappearance, and it might have been a prank. You never know. And what if there was actually some Anazia people that were also kinfolk of the Croatan?
Yeah, that's true as well. So
And
we do have the
sitting in that
potential for the mysterious eponymous fourth brother of the Pure
in
Lands.
the in that chaotic magic land.
And in order to bring the Croatan back, maybe all the four elements have to do some sort of ritual. I don't know. It seems kind of cheesy, but
That
I'm
would be
still
neat
working on
though.
the ideas.
That's
About
what you
that.
need in order to prepare for the apocalypse. Is you need a ritual of all four elements to bring back the Croatan.
Mhm.
Possibly. Like I'm still working on kinks of the idea. So
It's a neat idea though.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
All right, so find an excuse to bring the Croatan back. That's our moral of the story tonight.
And in case you're wondering if we are doing an episode on the Bunyip, we can't. There's even less information about the Bunyip.
It was kind of a shame, but it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah,
well, gosh darn.
wait for us to do Rage Across Australia when we eventually do Rage Across Australia.
Yeah, that'll be a minute, but it'll happen eventually.
I gotta talk about it or actually just play it.
Well, talk about it. We're going to talk about the books eventually.
Yep.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we got Rage Across New York and Rage Across Appalachia and Rage Across Russia on the back burner. But we're not going to get to those until January.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Okay.
minute. All right. Well, it is. We are going on past 3 hours at this point in time.
All
Mr.
right.
Danston, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the Galliard
Thank
Group
you
podcast.
very, very much for letting me
Abs-
join and take part.
Thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you, dude. I will see you Friday, and I'll see the players and our viewers next episode.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Uh,
Bye.
GN.